All right, we should be live. So we welcome everybody into the final weekly show of the season. I'm Jonathan Goudeau, aka JG Smooth, joined by my co-host, former UCO All-MIAA H-back, Daunte McGee. We have a special guest with us today. We have the two-time reigning defending MIAA Offensive Lineman of the Year, All-American, Montriel Lee. Montriel, we appreciate you taking time to come on and talk to us. We're going to open the floor to you first. Congratulations again on being MIAA Offensive Lineman of the Year for a second straight year. Just kind of talk about what getting that honor again means to you in your last season in the UCO uniform.
Well, first, I appreciate you having me on the show, and it means the world to me, man. It's a blessing. You know, it just definitely shows that the work you put in, the results that come out. So it's really all I got.
Now the last 8 quarters of the season was probably about the best 8 quarters of the season that we've seen. You guys are playing on all cylinders there. What kind of changed or maybe clicked for you all those last eight quarters to put on the performances that we saw?
Really, we just looked each other in the mirror and just checked our character. Like, we don't have to roll over for the rest of the season because things hasn't gone our way or we haven't executed games the way that we thought we should have. So we just really challenged each other in the locker rooms and like as a coaching staff as well to just make sure we finish off on a strong note for everybody.
Dante, you got anything?
Yeah, I got a couple. First off, congratulations to you. I mean, that is a big honor for yourself. There have been a lot of good offensive linemen that come through, but I think that you have solidified yourself as probably the best UCO offensive lineman to come through, and probably for sure the last 10, 15 years. So congratulations to you on that. I guess one question I do have for you from an offensive lineman perspective is kind of a two-parter, but why do you feel as though the offensive line has had so much success running the ball? And then with 3 running backs that you do have in the backfield, how differently do you feel you have to block for them, given that all three of them are all different?
Okay, so as far as the first question, I kind of say that Duro definitely has us all on the same page as far as just knowing where to go before the defense gets set. Because we do run a lot of tempo, so half the time the defense is kind of standing there. So we have periods where we train just to stay on our tracks and not be on combos, and then we have team settings where we do call out combos. And if a defense does show a different front, we have quick one word calls to get out of our combos and just kind of more or less go back into staying on track. And to answer the second part of the question, that actually is a good point. I kind of feel like when we got Jalen back there, like we finna stretch and cut, we finna get the ball out in space, let him use his speed. So it's kind of about setting edges fast and just letting him just get down to the sideline, get downhill. But when it comes to Mason and Dev, we know they like to get downhill pretty quick, so we like to run a lot of inside zone and just a lot of power and counter with them. So it kind of definitely changes the mindset of how we block things. When it comes to stretch, we know we can be a little bit more lateral, pass things off. But when we know we got Jalen, or not Jalen, but we know we got Mason or Dev back there, we can kind of just fire off the ball as hard as we want.
And then I got one more question for you. That was a good answer. I was kind of wondering that on just when you have a different styles of running backs, just how different, because everyone's cuts are going to be different. Their vision, how they like to play is going to be different. So I wanted this thing on the interview for you as well. My next question though is because I remember whenever you first started that first season, my last year,
Mm-hmm.
and just to see the progression that you've made, I mean, it's been crazy. But when did you realize that you can not only play but you can dominate on the offensive line at level in D2?
Man, honestly, like when I got here, like I got red shirted off rip. Like it really wasn't much of a choice, and I kind of didn't get much of a chance to prove myself. But I always took advantage of my scout team reps. Like it was never no shame in my game being on scout, and that's kind of what started it for me. So after I gained confidence going up against Slade and Rob Fuentes and all them guys back then, it just kind of told me like when my time will come, like I'm gonna be more than prepared. Like every single rep at 18 years old, I'm going up against Slade, Fuentes. Like, it's so many more I can name, but, like, you get it. I know you get it.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think for me, it was kind of one of those things that you don't really recognize it in the moment. But I remember when you were playing, and we had upset Northwest, and we started kind of winning a couple games. And then I realized that you was playing this entire year with the cast on your hand at O-line.
I was, bro.
And I remember you were still moving people. Like, think about trying to move a whole person you can't grab. And so whenever I realized that, I was like, oh, no, this guy's really different. Like, it's probably for the best that he's working with just one hand right now, because at that young, like, he was really working early then. And I was just like, man, this is crazy. Like, people don't even realize that he's playing.
I felt like that's when I was like, when I had one hand, that's when I felt like I was the most dangerous. Like, but nobody noticed for real. Like, they just looked at me as a kid with one hand out there. Like, but that wasn't the case.
Oh man, JD, you take away.
Now, okay, now first, I was not aware of that. Maybe I have forgot about that. Now, so we need to say now you said it was a good thing the man only had one hand though. But Daunte, I feel like it's not the case though, because he had two hands. He'd be doing what he was doing the past two seasons. So I feel like, who was that helping? Like helping us here, Daunte.
When I had that one hand, it was like I had more fight in me or something. I'm telling you, man. I used to show up to them games. I didn't say a word. Sometimes I didn't even eat breakfast. Like, I'm for real. You can ask Noah. Noah would tell you I wouldn't even eat breakfast before games. Like I was just that locked in because I had one hand.
But he had an attitude and a nasty about him that you want from your O-line though, and I felt like he definitely brought his own different mentality to it. That it was like you could definitely get behind it, even being someone that was older.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I have to ask now, because if you didn't eat before the game, how hungry were you after the fact though?
Man, we can't even talk about it, man. I'm telling you, it was times I see my mom after home games and like I wouldn't even need the money, but I'll be so hungry. I'll be like, "You got some money?" She was like, "What you need some money for?" I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna go eat something." Like I used to be starving for real, like starving. Mid game stomach ground, but like I was so worried about that hand. I promise you, like eating was the least of my concern until the game was over.
Well, and I'm also glad that you mentioned going up against Michael Slater and Robert Winters. Now, this is very good because Daunte and I felt like every episode somehow mentioned one, if not both of them, about the impact they had. Now, this is very good. We have an All-American that just said going up against them significantly helped him get to the point where he is now. So we're getting shout out to Rob and Mike to just this is down.
Coming into freshman year, 18 years old, and you got to block them every day and with no warning, like nobody's warning you what you finna see. I'm telling you, like each day, like my stomach was hurting more and more before practice. Like you just got 2 hours, Trill. You just got 2 hours just banging with them. That's all it is. I had to just tell myself, like you got 2 hours of banging with them. That's all it is. And after that, you chilling. You go get on the game.
Yeah, but you had to do it again the next day, though.
I'm telling you, it's a process. I'm telling you, it's a process. It's a step-by-step process every day that you got to make sure you hit every check mark before you get to the moment.
But I feel like that trial by fire is kind of needed at times, because I kind of went through something similar. Because when I first got to UCO, like I just transitioned to tight end, so I didn't know any of the technique. But then it was just a long laundry list of linebackers that going against every day. We used to do 1-on-1 pass rush every day. Like we were always competing against. It was, I mean, they were all upperclassmen too. I mean, we went over it a couple weeks ago, but it was probably like 8 or 9 of them deep that my first 2 years just, hey, real. And they was like, it was, I'm telling you, those early years, it was so tough because I really didn't know what I didn't know. And they was just so experienced and better. And it was tough every fall and against them. But I feel like it was important because going against that every single day definitely for sure makes you better though.
No, most definitely. As a redshirt freshman, I don't know if you redshirt or not, but at least for me, it definitely is beneficial to just go up against people that give live reps, and it's kind of your next closest thing to seeing how fast the game will change before you touch the field. Is going up against the starting defense.
I did redshirt, and I'm telling you, I went through it because at one point, I was the only tight end getting any reps in. And so back then, every team was tight end heavy. So you go 12, 11, like tight end being wildcat. Like it was rough that year getting redshirt because it was only me and there was no backup or nothing. It was just me holding it down.
That is tough. That is because that was a different time in MIAA. Yeah, that was that. Well, okay. Well, hey, what? No one can question the toughness of Daunte McGee because he's having to do all that that's just tough. Okay, well, I tip my cap to you again, sir. That is wow. Okay.
Appreciate it.
We have our first question from Mr. Doug Williams. Again, Mr. Williams, I appreciate your support over the past couple of seasons there. I think he has a question for Montriel. He says, curious about Montriel completing his last year, how he feels about all the other guys jumping in, I think it means in the portal following this year.
Come on, can you repeat it one more time? He said about the people jumping in the portal.
Yeah, he's just curious how you feel about it.
Oh, I wish the best for them. Like in the perfect world, I wish all the guys to stay together. But if they feel like the grass is greener on the other side, then I do too. Them guys are my brothers, and I'm gonna have their back through thick and thin.
Yeah, and I think it's important to realize that. I mean, they can always come back. I mean, you were in the portal last year for a period.
Come back, and the coaches may have felt like it was a lie, but I told them if it ain't worth it, like this is always home, and I'm not gonna hesitate, to reach back out. And they always stayed in touch throughout the whole process, so it was never fake love the whole time.
Yeah. So man, I I don't know. I could say scary, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's this is part of the game now, and like you said, this is why you just don't burn any bridges on your way out. So, I don't know where guys, end up, but I'd like to think though, they could always make their way back to Edmond. Now, I did also want to ask Montreal now because aside from you, being MIAA Offensive Lineman of the Year, obviously first team. You had a couple of other guys that earned all conference honors, Matt Gardner and Gabe Grazer. As the elder statesman on that offensive line, what does it mean to you when you see those other guys also have successful seasons?
Man, it's like I feel like we all make each other look good, man. Like it really makes me smile. It's like you can't be a good running back without a good online. So like when I know I'm doing my thing and I'm seeing they're getting accolades too, it just shows that like we're all putting in work and it doesn't go unnoticed.
And another thing that I noticed too offensively, I think the Missouri Western guys were saying, like, you still finish as a top 10 offense, which to me, given the injuries, quarterback, running back with Jalen as well, you had a kind of a new receiving core. There was some shifting there. To still finish as a top 10 offense, I mean, how were you all able to kind of overcome that slow start, then overcome the jet injury, then overcome all of that and still have a very good season offensively?
Like I said earlier, just life is nothing but highs and lows, and we just had to just look each other in the mirror and just check our mentality. And so, are we gonna let things that's knocking us down keep us from getting back up, or are we gonna finish strong?
Okay. Daunte, got anything?
Yes. How different is it being the older leader on the offensive line now and trying to lead, a whole unit versus younger guy trying to take that back seat on the leadership, but still trying to get your feet wet? Like, kind of talk about that transition going from being, the young guy to being the old leader.
As far as being a young guy, we had Lane and Cooper, and we had Seth. Plenty of other great guys, but Lane Cooper and Seth stood out the most to me. And they definitely gave me Noah and Rob confidence that like in 2 or 3 years this is gonna be y'all team. Y'all gonna flip this whole place around. So just kind of just trusting the process as far as being a young one and just really just watching the stuff they do. Lane have a whole page full of notes. You wouldn't be able to read what he was writing unless you're him himself. And just as far as watching Seth, just watching like the demeanor he plays. Like when I got here, my game was kind of looked up to him. Like Seth couldn't play right guard, but he could play left guard. But we knew all Seth was good at doing was coming off that ball and pulling. So like that was my way of like taking on things from Seth. Like okay, like Seth, he ain't got everything figured out, but he gonna pull and smack somebody when his name is called. And like I said, just as far as Cooper, like it's like the same thing with him and Lane. Like they both smart, so if they say something, they saying it for a reason. And for me to be on the other side as far as a senior, it sometimes I could say like you want to just like scratch your head, like bro, what are you doing right there? But then it's times where like after you scratch your head and ask them what were they doing and like they correct it, like you feel like you a coach for real, like you celebrating with them at practice, like that's exactly what you needed to do, bro. Like what you did last week was far from it, but what you just did today, like give me a high five. So that's kind of the feeling I get from being a senior now.
You start to celebrate other success. It's kind of it's a weird thing to look about because it's like their success is impacting your success too. Because you just watch them progress and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say not. So now you're saying Lane has bad penmanship. Now this is kind of surprising. I mean, his mom was my first grade teacher. I expected the man had immaculate penmanship. Is that the case?
I ain't saying like it's bad. I'm saying like he got so much written down where it's like Lane, bro. Like you can just keep your notes, bro. Like I'm gonna just go after somebody else. Like these notes not summarized enough for me, Lane. Like you trying to predict they moves at this point. You ain't even writing what like come on, Lane. Like you got it, Lane. And I'm for real. Lane had so much stuff in his notes. Coach Goudeau asked Lane one day, like Lane, what does your note say? Lane, like he flipped back 3 or 4 pages. He had his finger. He was going. I was just like, no way, like no way. Lane remember where he got stuff written down. Like he's scrolling back 5 pages, but that was Lane though. So like I said, that's something I took from him. Like if you want to be right on the field, take notes, and you're gonna have the first step on people.
Now, Trill, do you like looking down at a wristband or going off of hand signals, just listening to the quarterback as far as
you got to realize when I had that wristband, that's when I broke my hand. So the last thing I was worried about was looking at that wristband because it was no, I'm for real. That was the last thing I was worried. After I broke my hand, I didn't have to wear the wristband the rest of the season. But I would prefer to just listen to the quarterback just say a number, especially when we do the no huddle. Because when teams can't fit what we running, you hear number real quick, you can just run the same play versus looking at a wristband. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Some of the O-linemen, I was one of them too. Like they'll say a row, and you'll read the row either above it or beneath it, and like people will be like running into each other. Like let's say we all supposed to run right, like people will be running. Like I'm telling you, we have people both pulling the same way. It was crazy, but it was
I agree with you because that first game at Missouri Western, I think I busted on like 4 or 5 plays because I'm looking at the line, but I'm reading the wrong place, and then you see me just running off, just messing everything up.
It was funny because it was like the coaches would get mad, but it's like they knew though. Like they knew we ain't like we not out here reading the wrong row on purpose. Like we trying to go fast. We go like come on, coach. Like I promise you, we ain't reading the wrong row on purpose, bro.
But the thing that started helping me out was we would go in bold and then put in red like every other line, so that way at least it would like differentiate. That once I started doing that, I think I was good on the plays, but I think it was the first 2 weeks I didn't do it. And that was probably the most bust I ever had in a game, practice, anything combined, because kind of like what you were saying was for those 5 years, everything was hand signals. So it's like you had to really study and like pay attention to things because if you don't know, like you can't even get lined up off a hand signal, it's like you're not even going to get out.
It's like once you learn it, you know it. Like that's your second language for real. But you can't get mad at somebody because they can't see and the sun glaring and they are like you can't get mad at me today. I'm trying to read the right road, coach. I promise.
No, so yeah, I was more comfortable with the hand signals than looking down at the wristbands.
Okay, now I don't want to go back to the notes now. Okay, now if Lane's notes for that detail though, wouldn't those be the notes you want to look at though, or to kind of emulate? I mean, I feel like he would have every scenario, there. I feel like that'd be the notes I want to look at him.
Listen, now I understand, but as a freshman, Lane, listen, bro. Give me Seth notes. I'm with Seth today. I can just tell me when I pull or something. Like, man, come on, man. Like,
oh man,
I need to know that is drawing an arrow to the number, not like I'm telling you, Lena has so much stuff written down. You would literally laugh looking at it. You think
I mean, to be fair though, he was the center, so I feel like if anybody needs to know a bunch of information, it would probably be Lane.
And that's when Lane, if he ever told me to do something on the field, I nodded my head and said, "Yes, sir." It was for that reason. It was if he spoke up, it's for a reason. I got you. You said number 34. I'm gonna go get him.
I must defend the offensive lineman because there's a stigma on football players not being smart anyways. But typically the face is either a linebacker or it's an offensive lineman. And I've got to say, first off, offensive linemen are some of your smartest people you got on the team. Secondly, they are probably still some of the most underrated athletes you got on the team. And
tell him, Daunte.
I know I'm being so serious because
I don't know if you're like reading this from off of something, but keep
this is how I felt. Like offensive linemen are sneaky smart. It's just that they don't get the shine to really know how smart they are. But it's like when defenses be like he talked about earlier, when they going in and out of front, so they doing stunts and all that.
Yeah, you gotta have those simple calls that like we ain't got time to talk about what they doing. You just the ball.
And I think it's like with the NFL, like for the Wonder League, it's like usually like the quarterback test the highest, and then it's like your center and your guards test. Like they're like in the top 5 or something like that. But man, yeah, I'm always praise the offensive lineman because many people don't know this, but when I very first started playing football, I was over the weight limit. So you were destined to be an offensive lineman. So I was a center and a nose guard for my first 4 or 5 years playing football, and then I eventually kept getting taller and I thinned out. But I never forgot those days, and I always had love for my offensive lineman because I never really get to touch the ball for it like that growing up. So I was like, man, I'm never gonna forget this.
Feel you on that.
Or that now and to Daunte's point there now, because I have to give Montriel credit because now I think when we talked to you early on in the offseason, you had mentioned something about like if you ever got the opportunity to make a play on offense, you were confident you could make the play, and now you were able to prove that against Pitt State. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not know you had scored. It was not until Chris Brannick had pointed out that Montriel had just scored a touchdown, and I was so lost, and I had to watch the replay. And I give you credit because I mean, it mentioned that
good
chaos.
ball security. Like I had to check mark for everything you could ask for. I'm telling you, like I'm lifting the knees up through traffic, like heads down. I'm falling. I ain't extending the ball. Like I'm telling you, like I did everything. And then if you really slow it down, I caught it with one hand like this. I was finna glow it in for the hit, and then I was just like, "Oops!" Like thank you. I didn't know you was gonna do that. And after that, all I seen was blue. I ain't seen no green turf. I seen just blue turf, and I was like, "Yep, it's time."
Now, Trell, was that your first and only touchdown you've ever had, or were you a skilled player before?
Since I was like 9 years old, yeah.
Man,
hey, but it was nice though. Like I had all 10 people on my back. How else could you want to go out, man? How else? Like you already know what it is between us and Pitt. Like they playing their heart out. I threw up after the play. I didn't even get to celebrate. My helmet was ripped off. I got up. My teammates were just punching me in the chest. I started doing this like move like no more punches.
No. Oh no! Because I I can't remember what Daunte's reaction was. I just know I was like, because I saw Jet about to get destroyed. And so when he got destroyed, I was like, oh boy, Jet just got killed. And then I see the ball, I see like there's this scrum of people, and then I see the referee throw his hands up for the touchdown. And I'm like, what just happened? And so again, I give you credit there.
Everybody, they coach is so confused. He threw a challenge. He didn't know what happened either. I talked to someone of the Pitt State homies. They were like, I don't know why he threw that challenge, but I mean, hey. I said, hey, bro, if that would have happened, I would have just threw it just because, too. Because, like, no way y'all let that happen now. Like, it was just funny when we talked about it.
Hey, but people don't know that, at least while I was there, this dude used to do one-on-one fade balls against Noah and Robert. Whenever he would get picked, when we picked the offensive lineman to catch a punt, he would go out there and catch it every time. So
hey, Daunte telling the truth.
I'm telling you, offensive linemen, they some sneaky athletes. Now, are they fast? No. Are they gonna be that agile? No. But those few that are, I'm telling you, like, it's different, and it's no joke that it happened because he was doing that way back then. Like, he would always get the one-on-ones. Like, I'm talking like head top, one hand, like 2 feet. Like,
I'm glad we got. Is this screen recorded live? Like, I can go.
Hey, yeah, I'm telling you. But like, people don't understand the craziest plays aren't made on Saturdays. It's made in practice and like after, just kind of messing around.
You telling the truth about that? You are. Hey, they gave me a play at practice. I just never posted it. They called it Dale City though. So, you just knew if you. I'm telling you, defensive players ain't smart because they should have guessed the play when the quarterback came to the line saying Dale City, bluff Dale City. Yeah, they already knew who the ball was going through on offense.
But see, my man got a play drawn for him. I mean, what offensive lineman you know is getting that type of love.
Okay, now did you ever go to Coach Curley? Be like, Coach, especially these last next 2 games. Like, Coach, listen, I mean, what? Like, we don't have much to lose. You call this play here. Like, I feel like
I went to Coach Pat on Friday morning before we left. I was like, hey, Coach Pat, I know you're not probably expecting me to ask this, but y'all trying to run Dale City tomorrow? And like, if you know Pat, he's like a jokester, but he be trying to be funny because he's he's like, we don't have that play no more. And he turned around. And I'm like, don't. And he started laughing. But he knew what I was talking about. But I'm like, come on, man. He was like we don't got it in the scripts. I'm like, bro, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And I just left it alone. And he just started laughing.
It's funny because my last week.
Tough.
All right, my last week, I went to Sanders and asked him, like, hey, let me get a couple reps at D. And I was like, let me get a sack or something. No, he was like, man, get on my face, get on my face. I'm like, this my left time. I'm going to put some pads on. Like,
it happened.
Let me do something kind of crazy because when I was getting recruited, it was for a tight end and D. And but I'm like, no, let me just be a tight end. So I was like, hey, if I get out here, I could really make something happen and get a sack. Like, that'd be a complete period to my career.
I believed in myself, so I believe in you. I think you go out there, you're gonna get a TFL or something. You're gonna do something.
Hey, I said, just give me 3 plays. I'll make something happen. Hey.
See, I think you messed up there. See, now, how you came in there and said, just give me the 1 play, all right? And then if you went in there on the 1 play and did well, maybe it would compel him to keep you on there. But see, you came in asking for 3 off rip, though, Daunte. See, that's a kind of a tough ask there, you know. I mean,
but here's the thing: 3 plays, like in 3 plays, they could either pass it 3 straight times, and it's like, okay, I could have done something. But if they run, it's like, all right, like there's still a size difference between me and
I want to be a DN too, but I'm trying to be.
But I'm saying in 3 plays, they're gonna pass at least once.
That ball as I can.
I would have got back there like at least one time. If they passed it one time, I would have got back there. I know for a fact. But he didn't let me get it, man.
Okay, now you tell. What was your go-to move now? Was it a dip? Was it a swim? Was it a chop? Like what was your go-to pass rushing move?
So if it was going to be just 1 rep, it would be try to beam with speed, but then you kind of hesitate, like you go in, but then you chop and go back outside, but you club with both hands. So that would be my first go-to, but then after that, it would really just try to beam with speed, just around the edge, try to bend. But I'm telling you, like, I could have made something happen. Like, when I was trying to get recruited. Like I was taking DN reps and it was going good, but then I was like, no, let me just be a tight end. But yeah, I think I came to him and I was like, I thought he thought I was joking at first. I was like, no, I'm being serious. And he's like, let me think about it. And nope, never did.
I mean, you got to be fair to Coach Sanders, though. I mean, that's what we had a very good defensive line. I felt like we got a rotation going there. We trying to win the game. I mean, it wasn't like we were up by 50 on that senior day, Daunte. Like that was a dogfight for the whole game. I mean, you got to put yourself in Coach Sanders' shoes. There, it's like, okay, do we put Daunte in and risk something happening here? Or do we keep Ralph Fuentes in the game, get a consistent pass? See, I feel like, you got to look at the situation too now. I mean, it'd be different if it was something like what happened to Trell, where it just was happenstance and he was able to prove what he had been saying the whole time. See, but they would have had to have sent you in. It would have been a whole tough thing, I feel like, to pull off in that game. You know what I mean? Like, now, had this been against Lincoln, you would have had a better chance. I feel like had you come to him in the fourth quarter of Lincoln that year when you're up like 45-3 and been like, hey, listen, can I get like 2 snaps of defensive end? Maybe you get that. But on senior day that year with the winning season on the line,
I get it, and honestly, he told me, he was like, the main reason why he didn't was because the game was so close. So I'm like, all right, we won the game, so I'm cool walking off on that. But he still could have. Just being honest, he could have.
Now I gotta go back to Trell now, because now you all were up there significantly in the fourth quarter. Now, did you ever petition like, hey, I know Del City wasn't in the script, but can we throw it in there now?
I didn't do it. Like, I thought, like, I kind of thought about it, but I don't want to be selfish. I just kind of just let it be. Like, I probably got like 2 more drops. I'm going to just go out here and just, smack somebody a couple more times, and I'm going to just let the young boys do their thing. But Coach Pat wasn't on the sideline. I wasn't going to go up to Coach Duro and be like, hey, Coach Duro, can you tell him to put me back out there for the next drive and call DLC? Well, he would have said, huh? Like, what? So, yeah, I just left it alone.
Well, wait, so he didn't know of the Del City play?
No, he know it, but like we ain't read it in so long. Just me going up to him like, "Hey, coach, let's run Del City." He would have looked and said, "What?" I'm for real. He would have literally looked and said, "What?" That would have been like the play. I'm like, never mind, coach.
That's just tough. That's just tough. Well, I mean, I'm glad though you were able to prove you had the hand athleticism to get in. We gotta be honest here. I mean, you don't score that touchdown, we don't beat Pitt State. So I do have to, ask, not only getting that win, but then end up scoring in the win. You kind of look back on that. I mean, where does that rank for you in terms of like wins here?
Man, I'll put it like this. I should have got that game ball that game. If they answer your question, I should have got that game ball.
Who got the game ball then?
I don't know who got that game ball. I know I should have got that game ball because I don't have it.
I mean, I feel like Clayton would also have an argument.
You are right. I just remember that. You're right. I you know what? I can let it sit at Creasy house and I can come visit it. His first freshman star, he beats ranking Pitt State. Creasy could have that. That's respectable.
Okay, yeah.
But Dom played a part in that too, because Dom be telling me like, I'm the one that hit him. I be telling him like, bro, I'm like, if you watching slow mo, Dom, I think if you ain't hit him, I would have had that fumble. If you watching me load up, because he ain't seen me coming. But that ball popped out, so I'm telling you, I just threw that arm out there, like, oh, I didn't know you.
But to be fair though, Dom has been a part of like 2 or 3 of these, like the past 2 or 3 seasons where he causes a safety or he hits someone laying
No,
force.
yes, I don't know why he won't credit. He doing his 111. He doing what he asked. He still want no credit. This was
Hey, hey, tell him we don't applaud a fish for swimming.
yeah. If he wanted that, he should have stripped it and just took it. Not, I don't know what he was doing, but I got it. I tell you that.
Hey, there's no assists in football.
Yeah, it ain't no assist.
Now, okay, now I have been waiting on this. I would be remiss though if I did not give Daunte the floor here because I know, I said, obviously we had two people score 3 touchdowns on Saturday. One was Dev Matthews, so you got to give Montriel credit there to open up the holes. Now, the second man to score 3 touchdowns was Dom Duck. And now I know Daunte was disappointed he didn't find Payton on senior day, but he got 3 on Saturday. Now I want to give Daunte a moment here. Just talk about what you were feeling during that game when you saw him cross the goal line three times, the excitement there. I give you the floor to exalt your praise on Dom Duck.
I think it kind of solidified for me that I say he's the best time to come through UCO and the years before me and the years since. I think it's because he's a complete tight end. Obviously, he's caught the most pass touchdowns by a tight end in I don't know how long. But then also the biggest thing is to see his progression in the run game and see that not only was he able to be more effective with his double teams, but then he actually started handling DNs on his own, not just in the run game, but then also in the pass game. And as a tight end, I'm like being outmatched by DNs who, I mean, they work against bigger bodies day in and day out. You're already at a disadvantage. So it's like being able to hold your own in the pass protection game. I mean, it's a big thing. And then one of the other reasons why I would say he's the best one is because whenever he's been in line and they have a play where the tight end skip pulls, and it's basically like a counter, but he's coming all the way from the other side of the formation. And that was something that I've never really seen, professionals, any other college teams do. And so when I first started seeing them do that, I just thought about, how crazy and how athletic and agile you got to be able to get over there fast enough, still reach your block, but then still hit on the same shoulders so that way the play can still hit how it needs. So I think it just really like I said, solidified that he's probably been the best tight end to come through because of how effective he's been in the pass game, but also in the run game. And so I don't throw this out very lightly because a lot of tight ends aren't tight ends. They're glorified wide receivers. But I think that he's the definition of a tight end, and I'm proud of him.
I want to welcome in Josh Walls here, D2 content creator. We had him on, I think, the first ever episode. So welcome back to Josh here. Josh, bottom right corner, that is All-American guard Montriel. Montriel, this is Josh Walls. That way, put that out there. Now, Daunte, I do have to ask, though, when Dom was scoring these touchdowns, how big was the smile?
Man, the biggest, because it was just one, and then there was another one. And then when the third one happened, I'm like, okay, this is crazy because, like, this is more than most are getting in a whole season. This is getting in one day. So, it just certified, like, how effective he's been in the pass game and how, just comfortable and reliable he's been for the quarterbacks. And, I mean, and he was rewarded for it. So I think it's, just a culmination of just being a top-tier teammate and player, and he was rewarded for it.
I know, Montriel, now I do want to ask now because now it kind of has been a handful of days, since that season finale there. Have you had time to kind of reflect on, your career as a whole, your time, now that this chapter is really ending for you here, the next step is obviously the next level. How are you feeling, now that your UCO career is finished?
On senior night, it kind of go in numerical order, and I want to say it was me, Rob, then Mac, and Adam was somewhere in there too. He's the right guard. And, I kind of just looked them in the eye and asked them how they was feeling. Some of them a little emotional, some of them, just kind of straight faced. And I just told them like, I'm not happy and I'm not sad. I'm just kind of at peace. Like we came a long way. And we know we flipped this program since we got here, and I kind of feel like that was the end goal for you to be a freshman. Just leave the place better than what you got it.
And I do think that you did that. I'll never forget after Washington last year when Jalen asked me like that same thing, like he hoped that guys like Daunte and Rob and Mike and others were proud of where they were. And I remember like I got emotional trying to convey to him like if only you knew, because I go back, Daunte was there when we were in the stands and Raekwon. Now granted, Raekwon had a few beers in him, so he might have been a little bit tipsy there. But I just never forget the look he had when he looked on the stadium, when he looked on that field. It was like, I don't know. There was a sense of pride. There was a sense of accomplishment. There was a sense of peace that, like, even though he might not have had the best outcome in his time, though, the example that he left and the hopes for you all, were fulfilled. And I'll never forget that look as long as I live, because it was like I wish I had a picture of it, because he was in such bliss. Like you would have thought he had just won the lottery. I mean, he was that happy. So I give you the same message that I gave Jalen. Is like, they are extremely proud of you, extremely happy you all were able to, build off of what they said, build off of, what Daunte and Rob and Mike and all those dudes in 2022 came back for. And so, when I know when Daunte and JB and P. Scotty and Raekwon were at that playoff game and saw that, and I know when P. Scotty was down on the field for that MIAA championship trophy presentation, there was so much joy. Like, you would have thought they themselves, had done that. So I want you to know that they're extremely happy and proud that you all were able to build off that legacy. Now, y'all, I know you just joined. Now I know you're a Permian Basin guy, and you saw Montriel in that season opener there. You have any questions for Mr. Lee here?
I'm sure. Guys, I just got done working about 15 minutes ago. Montriel, you got all MIAA first team, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I just wanted to first off congratulate you on that, because stuff like that doesn't happen on accident. You don't like accidentally get first team all MIAA, and you're a senior this year, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, what a way to go out, man! If you're gonna go out, that's the way to go out. And I thought that when I did that, I came in with these guys and we did a full film review for like 2 or 3 hours. I was really, really impressed with the offensive and defensive line play from UCO. We went into really deep depth with a lot of it, and I thought you guys played really, really well. And I didn't see, as just team units, I thought you guys were really good. Obviously, injuries kind of came in and kind of derailed that season. UTPB last year had the exact same issue, just injuries everywhere, and it kind of changes the trajectory of it. But I just really wanted to mostly congratulate you because it's an unbelievable accomplishment, and you should be really proud of yourself, man.
I appreciate that, man.
And I do have to ask Montriel now, because it just dawned on me for some reason. Now, whenever I ask who's the worst on the aux court in the locker room, it always defaults to Lamb. Okay, Lamb is now going to be gone next year. So now I have to ask, with Lamb now departing, who in your opinion is now the new worst on the aux court?
Dang. It's usually between Lamb or Wilson, but just the thing now, nobody else just plays music bad enough where, like, you have to ask who's on the aux but them two. So I really can't give you an answer on that.
Okay. Then this will be interesting then when I do the one-on-ones here in the upcoming seasons, because someone's gonna have to claim that unfortunate title of being the worst. I think whenever I first started, they said it was Jace Gardner, which is truly unfortunate, because
that's a big shit. I don't remember, but I know it was It was like it was like knockoff Lil Uzi. Like it was something like that. The stuff he would play, and like if you ever listen to a knockoff of somebody, it probably ain't good.
I actually just seen him last Friday. Him and Mason Givens. They were at my Bethany playoff game. It was Bethany versus Elgin, and I just got him to run with them because Peyton Hunt is a coach at Bethany now.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So yeah, it was good seeing them. He hasn't changed, man. He's still the same. So you always want that. But yeah, I seen him not too long ago.
Yeah, you know, Jay's a firefighter now. Did not see that coming.
Mhm.
Oh, that's not that coming at all. That's okay. Well, yeah, all right. Well, that's interesting there. Now also, Montriel, I know it has only been a few days, but when you look back on your UCO career, is there a certain moment or game that really sticks out to you as like the favorite moment in your career?
I could say it's like I got brothers that play for them, so I finally got some bragging rights. Like I said, I'm from Hill City and Noah from Carl Albert. We ain't never beat them, so like we finally beat Pitt while I was on the roster, so that I can have some type of fight power and like so that'll probably be the one that's up there. I'd say Fort Hayes, just because Fort Hayes always got a D line like across the board, so just that's just another respectable game where I just know every play somebody has something to say, but like we was going at it. And when we beat Northwest when Duro first got here, I kind of felt like that was a statement game for us. Like we had something to prove. We was playing more for something than just ourselves. So that game meant a lot to me too.
Oh, Josh, did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to let Montriel know that I was maybe the only non-UCO person that correctly predicted that you guys were going to be Pitt State when we did the film review. I broke down about how the Pitt State defensive front was going to wilt to the UCO offensive line. So I just wanted to claim my own flowers there, and I believed in you guys when nobody else did, and I have the video proof of it.
Hey, you send me that, man. You send me that.
Yeah, it's on the channel here. Yeah, no, he was pretty adamant. Like he
I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, like he said he would be thoroughly surprised if we didn't actually win that game. So yeah, no, I do give him credit because I feel like I said the same thing in 2022 against Northwest. I'm like, I feel like we're gonna win that football game, and we won the football game. And I think a lot of people who thought I was crazy initially was like, okay, maybe he kind of knows what he's talking about. So like it was the same thing with Jaws. Remember, Daunte and I are just like, I sincerely hope that this man is right. And so when Pitt missed that field goal, I'm not gonna lie to you. I wish I had filmed that, but I just thought like us against Pitt, it's just we have unfortunate breaks. Was it 2021, 2019? I mean, 2023 last year. I'm like, all right, they're gonna hit this field goal. It's gonna go to overtime. And when he missed that field goal, I'll never forget. I was stunned. Like I was grabbing the edge of the table in the press box, and I remember Daunte just like absolutely going wild. Went over to the coach's booth. He's just dapping them up. Everybody's just going absolutely insane because it's like that's how we finally beat Pitt is off a missed field goal, which to me is poetic because we won the MIAA off a blocked field goal.
We did do
that. I'm like, what? I don't know what it is with us and missed field goals, but I'll take it.
I don't know what y'all's perspective. I mean, y'all, you guys are there, Montriel. You were obviously playing in the game. My perspective was I didn't have MIAA network, so I was on StatCast, and you should have seen my jaw drop when I saw that they missed the field goal because I was just saw it in text, and then of course, 20 minutes later, I saw the clip. But yeah,
no, that moment was definitely fun.
Yeah, that might have been. That's tough to say. That was the wildest moment because I feel like the block kick against Washburn supersedes that. That might have been the second craziest moment
Mm-hmm.
I think I've seen in my time covering UCO. Because before that, it would have been the Washburn block, and then it would have been Kobe's 92-yard punt return against Missouri Western. Because to this day, I still don't know how he stayed in bounds.
The thing about that punt return, I gotta give my flowers to Kobe because, like, if you really don't pay attention to football, like, that was a must block situation. So, in other words, he had nobody blocking for him, and he took a 92-yard punt return back. So, like, I just gotta give my flowers to him for that.
Yeah, I was like, there is no way that this man is gone. So for context, Josh, he fields it like at the 8, and then he starts going to the side, and I'm like, well, he's gonna run out of bounds, but he's still in bounds, and I'm like, all right, this is a decent return, but I'm like, oh, there is a wall there, and he's just going and going. I'm like, all right, someone's gonna push him out, and no one pushes him out. Like, he just gets immaculate blocks just all the way down there, and we use that, and we come back and win that game in overtime there, and then the following week we go up to Washburn, and then we block the field goal. The way that we won games in 2024, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Like, you have the comeback against NSU, you have Missouri Western, you have Washburn, you have the great start to that Emporia game where we just beat Gunnar Gundy out of the building, right? Then you have the overtime win against Washburn. I don't know what magic sauce was there at the time, because we never get those kind of breaks. Like, I think everybody can attest to this. We never get those kind of breaks. So to get all of that at one time, and then fortunately for us, was like the week after we lost to Pitt had lost. I think it was UCM. So it still gave us control of the conference.
I think they lost to Mo West, I think.
Who, Pitt?
Yeah, I think they lost to Mo West.
Well, okay. Well, they had their loss, and it gave us back control. It was such a wild season. Like that, we got so many breaks. Now, they did mention the high school, so now I would be remiss to ask, because second round is tomorrow. Now, to Montriel, now you all barely got past Booker T by 3 last week. Now, you played Lawton McCarthy. Do you feel confident that your Dell City Eagles will get that win?
I'm confident. Booker T's like a equal matchup. It's equal. But I think we're gonna have some more fighting this time. I think we're gonna be ready. I think they got the feet in water. They're gonna be ready for week 2 now.
Okay, and then for Daunte here, if I'm not mistaken, your UConn, what are they, Millers, beat Deer Creek by 17. I think that surprised a lot of people there. So I congratulate you.
Yeah, but like I said, while I was there, we didn't win a whole lot in high school while I was there. And then my class, we really didn't have a whole lot of winning. So I think this is the first playoff win. I'm probably wrong on this, but at least I know since like 1998. And the funny thing about it is that team actually made it to state and played Jinx. I think they got beat pretty bad by Jinx, but that was the first start to like that string of where it was just Jinx and Union for I don't know how many years. But yeah, so I did see that, and I'm obviously happy for the kids, because I have younger siblings, and so some of the kids that are on that team, my brother grew up playing with. So I'm always happy for them, and I'm just happy that they're able to finally turn things around and get some good things going, because for a while it wasn't really all like that, but it's been something that's been kind of building over the past couple of years.
Now, do you think they can upset Owasso?
I know the history. I know it is I know, but why not? Why not this be the team to do it?
That's a good answer.
So that's my answer. Why not?
Yeah, okay. Listen, I applaud you two. You all's teams are still in it. Mine lost in the first round to Marlowe there. But I think we set a record for was it wins in the season? Shout out to Coach JD Reynolds down there. Shout out to OKC Mount St. Mary's High School. Started off at like 6-0 for the first time in school history. I think we averaged like 41 points a game. Listen, hey, when I was there, if you won 4 games in the season, that was considered good. So to see that is pretty impressive. So I'm glad both you all's teams are still in there. I'm wishing both of them the best of luck there, especially UConn. You always love a Cinderella story here. So, listen, hey, if they can go down there to Owasso and get the win. Hey, that would be fantastic. Road to Montriel before we kind of let you go here now. What is next for Montriel Lee here?
Get back to work, start training. And looking forward to a pro day coming up. And just, give it a shot and see what's next for me in this next chapter.
As of right now, have you gotten any invites to any like kind of all-star games?
Yeah, I got invited to one. I want to say it's either like the Dream Bowl or Fiesta Bowl. It's one of the bowls, but I know it's up in Florida and it's supposed to be kind of like around late December, like December 15th or something like that.
Okay. Well, you probably should be expecting more because like people would be dumb to not try to get you out to the showcase and play just some more football.
Appreciate that.
You're gonna say because Daunte didn't you play in one of those games? I think.
Yes, I played in the Dream Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, because it was you and Rob, right?
Yes, we were on the same team, and I'm like same Rob. Like he's never gonna change. He's gonna be him, and he definitely made plays out there. He played a lot better than I did. I was terrible in that game. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It just was not it. But he balled out, and look, it's no wonder he's still playing football because he's just that good and he has that much passion for it. So shout out to him.
Hey, Montriel, I was just going to say, when you start getting these invites for all these different, games and all-star type things, use your network and talk to people who have been to those in previous years.
Mm-hmm.
I know a guy who went to one last year, and there was like 2 coaches, and it was not worth their time, and not, they shouldn't have went.
Mm-hmm.
So lean on your network. Ask people around. If you don't know, you can ask me on Twitter. I can ask around some of the people I know, just so that you don't end up going somewhere and just totally wasting your time and money and everything else. Because there was a really bad one last year.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I definitely got my people looking into it for me beforehand, before we even consider going, just reading all the credentials, waiting on our itinerary. So believe me, we definitely waiting on 3 green lights before we say, okay, we can do it. If it's not all 3, then it's just not going to be worth it.
Cool. Well, again, Montriel, congratulations on, again, another dominant season there and ending with, and I have to ask, forget me listening now, this is the first time, we posted back-to-back winning seasons since 2017, 2018. For you as a senior to be able to accomplish that, what does that mean to you? Because I know you were talking about, like building off of what Daunte and those guys left, but now you're kind of adding to that now by showing like, yes, this program can have sustained success. What does this mean to you to leave that now for the guys behind you?
It means a lot. It just shows that if you're willing to put in work, you can switch your program around. You just gotta be consistent. That's just what stands out to me the most. It's not gonna happen overnight. So you gotta work consistently to be consistently good.
Sweet. Okay. Well, Montriel, again, we appreciate you, and again, if there's anything I can do for you, you ever need anything, I'm always a message away. But again, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you was able to end your career on a win on senior day and a dominant win there Saturday, and go out with a winning record. So I'm wishing you the best there. I'm looking forward to watching you play in some capacity at the next level, and I'll always be be cheering for you. So I appreciate you, and I thank you for your contributions to the program and the heights that you played a big part in and help raising the bar of what some consider the sleeping giant, is now awake, and that is no shortage thanks to the efforts of you and the fellow seniors. So I truly appreciate you.
I appreciate the support, man. Like I said, after Moso, you've been there through thick and thin, man. You always kept the positive, so you keep doing that for us.
Cool. All right. Well, for the second half, we going. Montriel, you're more than welcome to stay. Okay. All right. All right. So now for the second half, I know Daunte has, I think, a couple of minutes left with us here for us to hop off. Now, Josh. Now I know postseason is here, and I know there was some hoopla about the Region 4 from some fan base that wears green.
Are you telling me that you read my Twitter?
Okay, no.
Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that there is a independent team in Oklahoma whose fan base decided that they wanted some smoke? Was that what you were referring to?
This is unfortunate. Oh, you gotta go. This is unfortunate because prior to this, I felt like a lot of people were genuinely happy for them that they finally, were turning it around, and I always give them credit because they played hard when they beat us. I said, listen, that's a solid football team that they deserve to win that football game. So, like, there's no shame in that. But the way they've gone on the past couple of weeks, like, it's like you for sure don't deserve the playoffs. I don't even know if they had deserved to honestly get a bowl invite, given their schedule and given that they've only had a couple of good wins. And I mean, they beat West Alabama, they beat us. And I know they were trying to hype up, beating us. We were the defending MIAA champs, but we also finished at 6-5 on the season. So I don't know how much thought you put into that. And I know they were hoping Saginaw would be better than what they were, but like, you can't beat up on teams like Lincoln, Missouri, Lincoln, California, Westgate Christian and think like we deserve to be in the playoffs. And now for context for Daunte here, Josh had a back and forth with a NSU fan on this. And wait,
let me, you don't have to say it, Jonathan. I'll tell you who it was. It was about 99% sure that it was someone associated with the program on a burner and wouldn't put their name to it. So you didn't say that. I said that, Jonathan. So you go ahead.
What was the argument?
That none of them. There was about 4 of them, and each one was more nonsensical than the other. I mean, I can DM you the exchange, but they said UTPB played Adams State. You had a tough schedule like playing Adams State, while they played 2 NAIA teams and 1 team in their first year that's not even in NAIA. They're not affiliated with. They're not a junior college. They're not NAIA. They're not D3. They're not D2. They're not anything. And then they're in their first year. But you want to call out Adams State. Adams State would wipe the floor with those 3 schools. And that was the crux of their original argument. And then it just kind of descended from there.
And I think people underestimate the Lone Star Conference, especially because of all the teams that have departed and moved up a division. But at the same time, you got to understand that's still a lot of quality football being played in that. And it's like most conferences, like, yeah, your top-heavy teams are probably going to be able to have winning and probably, 1 loss or 2 loss wins in any conference you put them in. That's just how it goes with all the conferences. But even though, and I will give NSU credit for beating UCO this year, but it's like, I think you might be trying to, put too much dip on your chip if you want to put it that type of way. Like, yes, you had wins, but I think it needs to be something that you're going against top proven competition. And I think something also adds to the Lone Star conversation is Now that teams, especially the MIAA, now that the MIAA are having out of conference games, now you can actually add more validity to your conference rankings, because if you have teams that are picking up wins against ranked opponents or other conferences top 2, that just adds more strengthability to what you got going on. So, I mean, they can feel however they want to feel about it. I mean, yes, they did have, a successful season for themselves, but to say that they should get in over someone in the Lone Star, I think that would be, I think that's just delusional.
So I've talked to Jonathan about this, and we can kind of, I want to come back to the strength of schedule statistic. I've talked to Jonathan about it. I haven't talked with you about it, Daunte. Strength of schedule is basically a meaningless statistic. We'll get into it in a second. It doesn't, you hearing me say that, you're like, what? I'll explain why in a second. But the problem that Northeastern had at its core, and I was with Jonathan. I was earlier in the season, I was tweeting things like, could Northeastern get into a playoff conversation? I put like 3 or 4 of those out, complimentary, whatever. And then we get to the end of the year, they played 3 less Division II games than a full D2 schedule. Western Oregon played 2 less. They played an NAIA school, and then they played an FCS money game. Now, I'm sympathetic to play in money games because not every school can run their athletic department or their football budgets or whatever. And I'm even sympathetic to playing 2 money games. I think, maybe that's something that, it's not, I don't think it's totally fair to everyone else. But if it's the only way that you can keep your football program in, then, I don't think that's something that you should be penalized harshly for. But when you're playing NAIA teams, which Western Oregon played an NAIA school, and then that other team in Oklahoma played essentially every NAIA school in the world, and it's like, we can't, when we're taking these statistics, strength of schedule, KPI, performance indicator, we have really small sample sizes. It's 11 games, 10 games. So we have to play the same amount of games because the sample size is so small or close to it. Otherwise, the stats don't make sense. This is how you end up with Northeastern having a KPI of 6. Well, it's only counting 8 of their games because it only counts the D2 stuff. So
Right.
if you're going to play a D2, or if you want to get into a D2 playoff, you have to play a D2 schedule, because it creates this thing where the statistics are no longer comparable. And that's why, in my opinion, I'm not on the committee, but that's why, in my opinion, we got in over Western Oregon, who played 2 less Division II games than us, and then why Northeastern didn't get the nod, because you can't compare them. It just is worthless.
No, I agree with what you're saying, because I mean, we think of like some of the schools in some of the states, like some states don't have that many D2 schools in their region, that it's almost like budget-wise, that's who they're having to play. That's why those schools up in Washington and in Oregon, they are in the Lone Star, because there's just not an abundance of schools like that for them to play in their region. So it's like, sometimes, yes, playing in NAIA, like, it's almost out of necessity for your team. But then I think what kind of hurts NSU in this case, and obviously it's not going to be a factor, but it's like, you have all the other schools in Oklahoma, all the other schools in Arkansas. Then there's a ton of Missouri schools that aren't in the MIAA that you could have picked from to, supplement that. You didn't just have to pick that. So it's just like, again, yes, you had winning seasons and things of that nature, but again, it's like, it needs to be a full D2 schedule. And then kind of what I'm thinking about, like MIAA, it's like, one of the things that always hurt us was because your full 11 is the entire conference, and that's just your entire schedule. And I think something that if the MIAA does go back to 12 teams, that they might need to look at something as far as like divisions, where you play your division, you might play some crossover, but then now with your free games or whatever, now you go play out of conference. So that way you're winning. It adds more validity, like I said, to the MIAA and how tough the conference is. Or if you're getting beat by some of these other conferences, like, okay, now let's try to that's the kind of crossover and overlap that needs to happen in Division II to actually like say, hey, does strength of schedule matter, and trying to come out with true rankings, because a lot of times you have teams that there are some conferences like you're going to go undefeated, or at the worst you're going to lose 2 games, and it's just known that that's what it is. Versus if, and like it's something I told Jonathan, is like if you look at the MIAA for like the past 10 years, you're not going to see too many back-to-back champions. You're going to see teams rotate from being at the top to being like in the mid to kind of bottom tier. There's really only like maybe 2 or 3 that their best was kind of getting to like that mid tier, but everyone else has shuffled throughout the MIAA. So it's like, when we say it's one of the toughest conferences, it's no joke. And so for NSU, play the tough teams.
Their issue is that one issue is that the GAC is siloed, which is something I've raged about privately to anyone who will listen, but which really limits the ability of all the other schools in the area, including Lone Star. I mean, one of the closest non-conference games that UTPB can schedule is Adams State, and it's a 14-hour bus ride, because if you look at the map, we're over there against the New Mexico border, and it's 14 hours to Adams State on a bus. So we have the same problem. It's a couple hundred miles, or it's not as extreme as Western Oregon, but we have the same problem because the GAC is siloed. So all those Oklahoma schools in the GAC, we can't go schedule any of them. And even if we wanted to, if you think that you're going to compete for a playoff spot, you probably need to go after Harding or Ouachita or Henderson or SAU or East Central. And who knows if they're open, if they've got contracts, if they even have a slot open. And so I'm sympathetic to to the situation they're in, because once conference play starts, it's really hard to get a good game in, because people are not going to want to alter their conference schedules. But at the same time, who chose to go independent in this scenario?
Because the reason, to my understanding, the reason they went independent, right, is because, as Daunte knows, he's played against them 4 times, beat the brakes off them 4 straight times. They were woefully uncompetitive in the MIAA. The only hope they had to get a win was against Lincoln, which they even lost to them by 18 back in 2019. Right? So
sometimes Missouri Southern.
Missouri Southern too, right? But it's hard to build a program if your ceiling is 2-9, right? So yes, I would agree. Go independent, try to build back up your team, get some talent in there, get some conferences, similar to how a few high schools in our state did that were in 6A that were just bad numbers wise. They might have had 20, 25 players playing teams with 70, 80 guys, right? Well, that's not fair. So they went independent for a handful of years to get numbers up, play more evenly matched teams, then rejoin 6A when they have a better chance to actually compete, right? And I thought that was the plan for NSU. And listen, I felt for them that first year because I think the teams had the option, the MIAA teams, to keep them on the schedule. Most teams in 2023 did, because it's an easy win. The MIAA is already hard enough as it is. So, if I can play NSU, week 7 after playing Pitt and Northwest, I'm going to take that, right? So I get the fact most weren't going to play them past last season. But I feel like there had to have been more options than Lincoln, California, which is the Bishop Sycamore of college football, right? Westgate Christian. Like there had to be more. And then to me, what really irks me is they throw out these graphics of numbers. I'm like, bro, what? Okay, listen. I'm glad you set these records, but when you're doing it against Lincoln, California, Lincoln, Missouri, Westgate Christian, it doesn't mean anything. Like, at least when we flaunted our numbers, we did it against Emporia, we did it against Fort Hays, we did it against UCM, actual decent to good football teams. And that's what really irks me by NSU is they'll flaunt these graphics like, oh, look at how good we are. We had this many yards, points, this records. But I'm like, anybody with half a brain, and it's bad, when Pitt State, Northwest, and UCO fans all agree on something, that it's meaningless in the grand scheme of things, because you did not play a schedule worthy in my opinion, even being considered for the playoffs. So to me, if they were upset that they didn't get to a bowl, they might have had a better argument. But again, I feel like a 7-win Arkansas Tech team is probably better than the 8-3 NSU team at this point. So you know what I mean? So it's like I get their complaints, and I get from NSU's perspective, right? And this is your best season in in almost 20 years. I want to capitalize off of this too. So I can't fault them for trying to make a push, but then you can't be playing the victim when you have a schedule like that and you're trying to claim, oh, well, we only lost to West Florida by 7. Okay,
Well,
but you still lost.
There are these posts like it was a conspiracy that they were kept out. That's the ones that got me. And it was like a conspiratorial tone. Do you know what I'm saying, Jonathan? It was kind of like the world's against us.
Yeah, it's like,
and it's like
nobody wanted to see us succeed.
So no, I'm not going to say the name of the school because I don't want to be disrespectful to that school. They didn't do anything wrong, but I could quarterback. I'm telling you right now with 100% confidence, I could quarterback UTPB to a win over that team. I'm about to start 35. I haven't thrown a football in 10 years or 15 years.
But the thing is, but you could do that for most of the teams on NSU schedule this year, though. Like you did it against Lincoln, California, Lincoln, Missouri, Westgate Christian. I feel like those are games you could quarterback as well. So it's like they don't really have a leg to stand on, is the whole thing. And they felt like they had this great resume with this great case. And I'm like, and I think a Pitt State fan said it best, was like, anybody with half a brain who knows D2 football knows that you all are exactly where you're supposed to be at home prior to, them getting to their bowl, which even if they claim they didn't make the bowl specifically for themselves and it didn't come out of thin air. I mean, it's sponsored by Seven Clans Talent Agency, which, if you do some research, is either directly NSU's NIL collective or tied to it. And then the game's also conveniently at Dog Wadley. And then you also limited the Oklahoma team, which listen, that okay, that's perfectly fine. I like to see, more Oklahoma schools play each other. But then you choose East Central, who's 6-5. And I'm sitting there saying, I know we're 6-5, but now you're telling me that a 6-5 East Central team is better than a 6-5 team that just finished third in one of the toughest conferences in D2 football, which would be the better matchup. But obviously, we know this is just a ploy for NSU to get another win, so they can flaunt, oh, you see, we were worthy of the playoffs. And it's like, but no, because again, you're playing another home game against a team you're probably better than. Where if I was NSU and you wanted to prove a point, play UCO again. And if you beat the third place team in the MIAA 2 times, then maybe you have some kind of argument there that, like, oh, you know what? Maybe despite the schedule, maybe they're a better team than we're giving them credit for. But to me, taking the easy way out of the options, playing East Central to me was just like, really? And again, I think that's kind of how most people felt when they saw that, was really, because that's where they are. And to me, it's just sad that this is where they're at. That they're like trying to do everything they can to like paint themselves as a victim. And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know, John. I've never seen this before. I've never seen a.
Was UCO NSU's best win this year?
I believe so.
Yeah, we were.
Their best game was the West Florida game. They were within like a field goal of them. They played it. They played a great game. Hats off to them. But I think UCO was their best win. Yeah.
So it's like your best game you played, you still lost. Your best win is a team that, yes, finished third in their conference, but just being objective with UCO, like UCO didn't make the playoffs. So it's like your best win is against a team that didn't make the playoffs, but you're trying to make an argument that you should make the playoffs.
Check that. Best win was probably last game of the year, West Alabama, because they were receiving votes.
Okay.
So it was West Alabama than UCO.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the schedule now.
So now my thing is, think about the teams that did make it. You're talking about
Henderson
Pitt,
State.
huh?
Henderson State would have been second out of the GAC if the GAC was better this year. GAC is really down in the middle of the. And I'm a Henderson alum, by the way, so this isn't any shade. And I watch a lot of GAC football. The top, middle, and middle of the GAC was really down this year. That's why everyone was just beating each other. It wasn't an MIAA situation where everyone was so good they were beating each other. It was just kind of like everyone was kind of on the same level in the GAC, and then you had Harding.
But again, it's like basically what I'm saying is, for the teams that do go to the playoffs, they are beating multiple teams that are either ranked or multiple teams that are, having winning seasons. Like they've really gone through it and they made it to the top. Versus NSU. If NSU did this and they were in the GAC, okay, you have an argument. If they had this season, they were in Lone Star, MIAA, okay, then yes, I think you would have an argument to make it, but you're not.
That's. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Jonathan. No, I'll pass. Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, and that's the difference too, right? Because listen, if you UCO, I feel like, right, we could have an argument saying, well, I mean, I know we're 6-5, but did we not finish third in one of the top conferences? Did we not beat the conference co-champ? So shouldn't we deserve a bowl? I don't see us doing that, because we understand that, listen, we didn't get the job done enough this year to warrant a bowl invite. It is what it is, and we go back to the drawing board and try to do better next year. And if you're in the NSU, you just take the 8 wins, be happy with it, accept the fact that you didn't get to a bowl, and just use that as fuel of like, okay, well, we got to just do better next year and go out there and prove them wrong. And say what you will about Coach Chev, he's very good about motivating his team using that plot. So I don't see why they had to throw this big hissy fit. And again, all they have to do is just play a D2 schedule. Like, it's a sad part. It's not rocket science. Like, all you got to do is just play a full D2 schedule, and then you people don't have the valid argument of just simply looking at your schedule and it's like, well, this is why you're at home. And again, it's really unfortunate, because to me, they went from a feel-good story to like alienating everybody outside of Tahlequah or their fan base. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, people were actually happy for you.
So I want to go back to your bowl game thing. I'm not comfortable saying it live on here. I had heard another piece of information about that. I'll share it to you in private, Jonathan, so you can try and see if it's confirmed. But it may actually be a reason as to why UCO didn't get the nod over East Central. I'll send it to you later, and then you kind of see it on your end if you can figure out if this is correct or not. But anyway, to go with what you were saying, if you're an independent team and you're already having trouble scheduling other Division II teams that are in their conference schedule, because that's probably was a lot of the problem, how is pissing them all off going to help you? Who's going to want to work with you and schedule you and move a conference game in the middle of their season to help you if you're running a PR campaign designed to piss everyone off? Well, what's the end game here? Well, it could have been framed as, we had this amazing season, we had all these stats, we played really hard, we just came up short, but we're going to be back next year, and when we're back next year, be ready. And you could have just flipped it all around, and you could have been like, we want to, we think we're one of the best teams in Division II, and we want to schedule you. Instead, it got turned into, conspiracy and, crying, and it's just, I don't understand the end game, I guess, is the point, because it's not going to help you in the future. It's going to compound this problem that they have.
No, exactly. That's why I'm baffled by this. It's like, I don't understand why you would turn all this goodwill you were getting and ruining that. Like, I don't understand the reasoning for this. That's the most baffling part to me, because again, here's an example is there was quite a bit of UCO people that was giving them their props, but now it's like, what You know, I don't know. And again, I know Daunte, we talked about this too. Like as someone that played against them when they were at their worst, I know he was glad to see them competitive because it made the President's Cup interesting the past couple of years, which is what you wanted. So, like, that again, that's kind of the sad part. It's like people were on their side, but they're kind of turning them away. And I'm like, I don't know why you want that, because again, you went from a really good feel-good story to listen, here's this team down there in Tahlequah. They've had a rough 15-year stretch. They turn it around. They have this really good season. They put up some good numbers and they can build off of this moving forward. That to me would be how I would have framed that. But instead they go on this assault because they just felt like they were robbed out of something that they didn't earn. And like that's the part that baffles me, is if you earned it, then complain, but you didn't earn it.
And kind of what Jonathan was saying was because whenever I played, like it was not competitive whatsoever. I mean, probably the closest game was like 40, like 5-0, 45-6, something like that. So like it was never really that close of games. And it's like obviously yes, you want to beat your rival, but it's just like it just wasn't all that competitive. And so, like I said, I want them to be more competitive. And kind of like we talked about when UCO lost them, is that you can't hang your heads because that was a good football team. And at some point, it was either going to be UCO gets worse as a program and NSU beats them, or NSU gets better and now it's a competitive game and then UCO loses, which that's what happened. So it's like you kind of like you want it to be a competitive rivalry. And I mean, I'm not in tune with what's been going on with Twitter and all that stuff. But then, I mean, just kind of added things like after they did beat UCO, I mean, it was like, again, maybe I'll just speak from my perspective. I don't think we were as disrespectful or bad after we won games at home or away. But yeah, seeing them like flip off fans and like jump on the logo, like it was like it was just dumb stuff. And so it's like, I don't know. It's like, yes, you had one good season. I think you need to kind of like roll things back a little bit and just go to work, like recruit, continue what you have going on, and just start building your program. And don't think like, oh, finally we have, some success. Like we need to like get all that we can out of it. It's like, no, you just add this one into, the resume. You go recruit with it. You have your graphics. You put those stats up and just rinse and repeat. Like, or I guess get ready for your bowl game. I guess that's the thing, enjoy Thanksgiving, then get ready for your bowl game. But after that, it's like, I don't know. It's just
They could use that as motivation internally and with their recruits, while also making buddies with as many people as they can, because if they're going to stay independent, they've got to have people and other coaches at other schools who are willing to move conference games for them.
I mean, just join the MIAA again. Like
I mean,
all the other sports are still in the MIAA, so it's like,
is the MIAA going to take them?
I don't see why not, because your one sport is not. So it's like you can get integrated back in, and now that you have, some success, and schedule MIAA again, and it would be just 11 teams again. Or I guess you would still, it would still be 10, 11 teams, whatever it is. But it's like, I think that would be the next move for NSU to do.
I wasn't sure if they would take them back because they just left.
Is there is there a period on how long they?
Yeah, so I think it was like when they first did this announcement. I could be wrong. I think there was going to be like a 3-year period, and then they were going to reevaluate the situation after the 3 years, like see where NSU was comparative to the rest of the conference, and if it would be wise for them to come back. So if I'm not mistaken, that should end after next season. So I'm imagining if they have another 7, 8, 9 win season, then they probably would, rejoin the conference, would be my guess. But again, I'm not entirely sure because like I don't know how many friends they're making around the conference at this point. It's like I don't I don't know, but I know they're operating under that assumption because I remember when they, because NSU has to do their own media day separate for football. And I remember, I think it was Coach Shev that put out a tweet that said he was looking forward to being back at MIAA Media Day soon. So I think they're still under that operation that they're going to rejoin. I believe it's after next season. So that was what was agreed upon when they had announced it. I think it was before the 2023 season, I think, is when they had announced that, something like that. So I know that was what I think was supposed to happen. Now I'm not sure if that'll stand or what have you, but that was the deal at that point, was they go independent in football for 3 years, keep all the other sports here, and then they reevaluate the situation. So now I don't know what happens if they don't come back. Like if the MIAA says, no, we still don't think you're ready at that point, what happens? Or if for whatever reason the MIAA doesn't want them back, I don't know what becomes of their other sports at that point in time. Like, I don't know if they'll just be affiliate members, kind of like how Arkansas Fort Smith is for wrestling for us, and how like Rogers is for basketball, that kind of stuff. I don't entirely know what happens there. But if I recall, I think it was like a 3-year period where they go independent, try to improve, then they reevaluate. So I would imagine if that's still the case and they have another 8-win season, that they probably would bring them back. And I don't know how the rest of the conference would feel about that, because I know a lot of schools enjoy having those 2 non-conference games like Pitt and Northwest, because it just helps bolster their case for playoffs. So I don't know if the schools have a say in that, like if they want to bring them back, or that's just something that's like going to happen if they meet certain thresholds. Like I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like there's a case to be made for either side, because I can see some teams not wanting them back just based off of we enjoy having 2 non-conference games and can bolster our playoff resume, where others might say, well, we'll take them back because that is at least 1 less game we have to schedule. So like I can see it going both ways, but to my understanding, that was the thought process at the time where they went to go as an independent.
Hey fellas, I gotta hop off of here, but I appreciate coming on here. JG, appreciate you for having me on this entire season. It was a fun one hopping on here and chopping it up with you every week.
No, sir, Doctor. I appreciate you indulging me in this idea at like the very last moment. So, I think we did about as good as we possibly could for really not having any real bearings of where this was headed at that time. So I feel like now we've got a year under our belts. We can go back to the drawing board and figure some things out for next season. But no, I enjoy you coming on and helping me with this and covering the game. So. Like I said, if you want to do this again next year, we can do this again next year.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, sir. Have a good evening now.
I appreciate it.
Man.
Yep, see you.
Cool, but yeah, no. To my knowledge, that was the understanding. So I don't know, how that. And I don't know how the whole post game fiasco with after the President's Cup, how that factors into anything. So I don't know, but that was the thought process.
GAC's not going to take them because they're full. They're already siloed with no non-conference. They can't take them. There's nothing. And they were actually a part of the Lone Star like 20 years ago. Lone Star, we've been hearing about it forever, but it finally got announced. Texas A&M Texarkana is starting a football team, and in 2 years they'll be in the Lone Star. So that's how I know that Northeast can't get into the GAC, because Texas A&M Texarkana is way closer to the GAC. So if they went to the Lone Star, then GAC is not taking people. So they're gonna have to go back to the MIAA, or they're gonna have to go to I can't believe I'm blanking. William Jewell, UND.
The GLVC where Lincoln left for. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Which to me, if we're being honest here, like strictly in what would be best for NSU, to me, that should be where you're trying to go. Because that to me is more of a competitive level. And the fact that they played several GLVC teams, they played McKendree this year, Lincoln, William Jewell, right? So, like, to me, that would be a more logical step because to me, I feel like they'd be more competitive overall in that league than say they rejoin. They might finish middle of the pack, and I mean maybe if they get some breaks where you go over there. I mean I feel like they go and you're at least the middle of the pack team there, if not almost towards that upper tier. That to me would be where I'd be trying to go if I was NSU, because to me that's your best case scenario. You're back in the conference. If you win the conference, you get your bid, right? Like that to me would be the best case scenario. So like I don't know. I doubt that they've looked at that because I think that they're just dead set on we're going to the MIAA. And I'm sure they have contingency plans, but that would be something that I would have to consider just because I feel like you already have a relationship there with some of the schools because you scheduled them the past couple of seasons, and I'm sure they'll have more next season as well. So that would be a logical step to me. I know Lincoln, Missouri did that. They left the MIAA for the Great Lakes. And while they haven't won a conference game yet, they've been far more competitive in the Great Lakes than they ever were in the MIAA. So with NSU being far superior, I know they could at least finish probably upper tier in the conference. Like they're sure not going to beat UND. They're not going to beat the top dog. Right. I feel like they could probably have an upper half finish. So that to me, if I was NSU, would be my destination to be honest.
And if they can add a team who could potentially be middle to middle top, even if it's football only, they might take that deal because it's only going to improve their conference.
Right. So I feel like everybody would win in that scenario. So that's why it'll be interesting to see what happens after next season. Like if the MIAA takes them back, if they don't take them back, where do they go? What happens to all the other sports? So yeah, that's something that'll be decided after next season. So like I said, I don't know. I haven't really looked at NSU schedule for next year yet, so I don't know if it'll be any better or not. But
so
yeah,
UTPB is playing in week 4.
That we kind of
UTPB is playing Northeast in week 4. Oh, can you hear me?
Okay. Well, then listen. Yeah. Well, listen. Then if they can earn a lot of respect there. I mean, listen. If they give UTPB a game or they pull it off, I feel like that's another positive sign, right? Like, I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic here, but
so
like
the schedule actually, I have their schedule up. It looks a lot better for next year. So it's Missouri S&T. Then they've got 2 money games: Northern Colorado, Stephen F. Austin. They come back, play UTPB, West Florida, William Jewell, McKendree, West Alabama. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they got 3 open spots. Late October. They have 2 spots late October, 1 in November. So if they could fill those 3 spots with Division II opponents, they're going to be in good shape.
I bet you they'll probably try to get Lincoln again. But I'd venture to say they'll probably try.
They're already playing Stephen F. Austin in Northern Colorado. If they put another NAIA team on the schedule, they're going to have to win out their D2 schedule, or they're not going to make the playoff again, and they're going to have the same problems.
No. I mean Lincoln, Missouri, not Lincoln, California.
Gotcha.
I think they're probably past that now. Well, that's what I'm saying. So based on that, listen, if they go 7-4 or 8-3 again, then I think people will give them much more respect for that than they would this year. And that's all anybody is just saying is like, it's not that we're hating on you. It's just given the schedule, this is what's going to happen. Now, if you do this against a D2 schedule, then yeah, we'd be more than happy to give you your props.
Absolutely.
And if you were wrong, then we'll vouch for you. I mean, I'm not above arguing that if NSU got shafted out of the playoffs and they should have been in the playoffs, if that's what they earned. So I'm hoping that this time next year this is a moot point and we're not having this discussion that we shouldn't be having now. But
Right.
because again, it's just I don't understand, but it is what. But again, I haven't been in their shoes though. Like I haven't. Right, UCO hasn't been in a 15-year drought. So, like, I don't know what it would be like to have your best season in 15 years and then, like, not get what you thought you were going to get out of it. So, like, I don't know how that feels, per se. So, like, I can't really, be in their shoes. But just from the outside looking in, though, it's not a good look overall for kind of how they're going about this. But like I said, I respect them from a football standpoint. They're a solid team. They seem to be well coached. I mean, they're disciplined. They didn't have a lot of penalties. They got a really good running back, Mo McKinney Jr. I know they're losing a couple of receivers and that tight end, but to me, they have a solid quarterback. He's not flashy, but he protects the ball. They have a stingy defense. I mean, they're a solid football team from that standpoint. So I don't know why they feel the need for all the theatrics, but I don't.
I'm not sure. Can we switch gears real quick?
Sure.
I want to talk about some of the statistics that go into picking who gets into the playoff, but most specifically, I want to talk about strength of schedule. So a lot of people have this idea about strength of schedule. And that Doug put something in chat. Let's hit this first, and then we'll come to me. I can read it out. I think NSU needs to work on their sportsmanship before they come back to the MIAA, and they need to be willing to play Division II level teams the whole season. Yeah, totally agree. Absolutely, totally agree. So I'll come back. So strength of schedule. So a lot of people think they hear strength of schedule and they think that it's a metric that grades how tough your schedule is because it's strength of schedule. It's not actually what it does. And this is one of it kind of depends on what NCAA guide you look at and what, person you talk to. And there's some kind of creative liberties in all of this. And it's designed that way so that the selection committee can make the decisions that they feel like they need to make. But strength schedule is supposed to be criteria that kind of works off of almost like a tiebreaker from most of what I've seen. So if you've got the same amount of wins, or you've got like maybe one less win, or if you have teams with similar records, then we look at things like strength of schedule. We look at things like KPI. We look at things like performance indicator, all that stuff. Okay. The issue that I have with strength of schedule is that I found the equation about a month ago, and I've been, working through this equation. And basically how the equation works is 2/3 of your strength of schedule metric is based on the wins and losses of your opponent. So if your opponent's got 7 wins, it moves it up. If they've got 7 losses, it moves it down. And the other third of the equation is your opponent's wins and losses. And the idea is that it would somehow kind of sort of level itself out in the end, because you're taking a really wide approach to it. The problem is that the sample size in football specifically is so small, 11 games, it doesn't actually do that. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm not going to share, not sharing screen or anything. You can go to Inkblot Sports. You can go to the SR4 dropdown. You can verify all of this that I'm saying. But in the regular season, you had Western Oregon, who we already talked about earlier. The only games that counted toward the D2 playoff that they played this year were Lone Star Conference games. So they, in effect, for games that would qualify for the D2 playoff, played a siloed Lone Star Conference schedule. That's it. Okay. Western Oregon's strength of schedule was 489. Not bad. UTPB did the exact same thing, but also played Central Oklahoma and Adams State. Now, Jonathan, if we're talking about just D2 football playoff and the criteria, and we can only look at the games, who played the tougher schedule, UTPB or Western Oregon?
I mean, off of that, I'd say UTP PPB. You've got a full D2 schedule versus when it doesn't have one. Yeah.
Yeah, full D2 schedule plus Central Oklahoma. And, Adams State went winless this year, but it's still, that's still part of it. Just by virtue of playing Central Oklahoma alone, a normal, rational person would go, oh, yeah, UTPB played a tougher schedule of qualifying games for the playoffs. So when we're making this decision, it would be UTPB. Here's the problem with strength of schedule. Western Oregon's strength of schedule was 489, and UTPB's was 462. So if you look at strength of schedule, Western Oregon has a higher strength of schedule, even though they played the same Lone Star Conference schedule, and UTPB played UCO and Adams State, obviously. Well, the reason that there's a deviation in this is because Adams State and then UCO came in a little under, what anyone really thought, but it was almost assuredly due to injuries, right? So you have a team who played less games, who played the exact same conference schedule with a much higher strength of schedule, and then it gets even weirder, okay? I think most people would think UTPB and Western Oregon played a pretty tough schedule for D2 terms, even if it was siloed. Northeastern State's strength of schedule was 510. So you have 510, 489, and 462. So UTPB is last out of those three, even though any human could look at those and go, huh? Any human would just look at the three schedules right beside each other would pick UTPB every single time out of those three. And UTPB is last by a lot. The highest strength of schedule in the region was Pitt State at 550. That's a huge deviation. And it's because the strength of schedule metric doesn't actually take into account rankings at the time of the game. So, well, think about it. The strength, it only looks at wins and losses, 2/3 of wins and losses of your opponents, right? That's 2/3 of it. And then your opponent's wins and losses. It doesn't look at the rankings of the teams that you play. So if you want to gain strength of schedule in D2, you need to go schedule a GOVC team that you think is going to finish in the top 3 or 4, maybe get 2 of them, and you're going to have a strength of schedule compared to Pitt State. Because it doesn't take rankings into account.
Well, see, and I think that's what NSU was hoping was going to happen with Saginaw. Because you remember at the time which they beat Saginaw, they were really pushing that win, which, to be fair, that was a good win, right? But them not having the season they had also hurts their case too, because that was going to be one of the wins I'm sure that they were going to tout as, listen, we beat Saginaw. Saginaw's an upper tier, team in that conference, right? And then, we have the West Florida game. We beat UCO, we beat West Alabama, right? They think that would strengthen their case, but unfortunately for them, Saginaw didn't have the season that they thought they were going to have, right? So they did. I give them credit. They did at least try that method.
Well, they were successful in that method because they had a strength of schedule 50 points over UTPB. That 50 points is a lot in strength of schedule. 50 points is the difference between Pitt State and Harding. And Pitt State played a way harder schedule than Harding ever dreamed of playing. And, it's a statistic that people use it's a major statistic that people use. I've talked to people behind the scenes who are like, yeah, this is something that the committee uses all the time. And it's a totally flawed statistic that doesn't mean anything at all. It means nothing. because you could so easily game this. So I try not to be the guy that complains about something without giving a solution to the problem. Okay. The solution to this problem is that you could largely keep the strength of schedule equation the same, but there has to be it has to be more complex to where if you play a ranked team at the time that they're ranked, because UCO is a perfect example of this. I think we were kind of an example of this last year when we just went through insane injuries at the beginning of the year and it just totally derailed the season. But UCO this year is a great example of this. When you guys came in and played UTPB, if you put on that tape, yes, you guys lost by 20. Yes, it was competitive through 2.5, 3 quarters. There was no doubt that was 2 top 10 teams that were playing each other. I don't think anyone can look at that tape and convince themselves otherwise. If you just look at that tape in a vacuum, as you go through the season, teams get injured. There's attrition. Gosh, there's transfer portal now. Angelo State's quarterback transferred with a game left in the season. When you play a team, and we're talking about, and we're trying to evaluate how strong a team is and how strong the competition that they were playing was at the time that they played them, you have to put rankings at the time that they played each other. Because every once in a while you'll get a team that comes out of left field and they just rip off 9 wins and they were really underranked for like 3 or 4 weeks, and that does happen. But you can have really good teams get 3 really key injuries and they don't win a game the rest of the season. But when you played them, they were awesome and they were one of the best teams. And so the rankings at the time that they were played needs to also be incorporated with win-loss. And I think if you do that, you would actually get a strength of schedule that actually means something. And it kind of, I'm doing more, I haven't, for my personal life, this is the time of year where my business is booming, so I don't have as much time to kind of get into this stuff as I did a few years ago. But a lot of the statistics that we evaluate these teams on, like strength of schedule, terrible statistics should not be used in consideration for anything. It doesn't measure anything at all. And then if you don't have teams that are playing the same amount of games or playing each other, GAC, the statistics become less comparable. And so if the whole idea is we use these statistics to figure out who's the best to send in the playoffs, if we're using statistics that don't make any sense, that don't actually measure anything, and then we have teams playing 8 games versus 11, and then you've got an entire conference who's only playing games against itself, this kind of becomes, something that is really, really difficult to quantify and actually make sure that you have the best teams in. So I wish siloing was not allowed. At least one non-conference game, please, just one. And then, there really needs to be a top-down reevaluation, rethink of some of these statistics, and to actually be able to give the selection committees reasonable statistics that are going to help inform them and help them make the best decisions. Because ultimately what this comes down to at the Division II level specifically is it's about the kids and the coaches and the kids who deserve opportunities, and they're getting graded on a weird curve. And then you've got coaches who, some of them want to coach at where they're at for 30 years, and some of them are trying to make a name for themselves and move up, and it robs things like that. And so I felt like the committee and SR4 did a wonderful job this year. I thought they got every single of the top 4 seeds correct. I thought they got the 4 at-large teams correct. But I can foresee a future where that doesn't happen and it's based on faulty tools. But I just wanted to bring that to light. I hadn't talked about it publicly. But, I just kind of tried to stoke awareness with how faulty some of this stuff is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I know we talked about this too in the first episode, about the whole like how they present the playoffs and all that stuff. But there's clearly a lot that needs to be fixed in this process. But you touched on the whole silo thing. And I mean, listen, the MIAA used to be the same way. It just, as Daunte said, it just was 11 straight conference games. And like, sure, that okay, if it's a good year for the MIAA and you've got 4 teams ranked throughout the year, okay, fine. But I do know, when Lincoln left, I know a lot of teams were happy that there was that one non-conference game. So, Pitt could go out and schedule, I think it was like Minnesota State or somebody, but they've got more flexibility now to replace a gimme win like a Lincoln or what NSU used to be. They can go out and find a more competitive game, which helps them in times like this. But it gives the other teams, your kind of lower tier teams in the conference, like your Missouri Southerns, maybe your Missouri Westerns, right? It gives them a chance to also find a more competitive game, help them maybe get a couple of wins, get some confidence, right?
Or get them a money game. I mean, when I was at Henderson, I was actually in show band of Arkansas at Henderson. But a little bit after that, the GAC back when it was when Henderson was in the Gulf South at that time, Gulf South wasn't siloed. So you know what Henderson did? They went out and scheduled Central Arkansas, and from what I understand, it basically paid their football budget for the entire year. And we have these schools that are in financial trouble. I mean, Henderson. It's amazing that Henderson is still a school with how mismanaged everything was. I don't know how much you know about it, but basically, very long story short, the former president at Henderson allowed kids to re-register for classes if they owed a bill, and some kids were having bills up to $60,000, and it almost shut down the entire university. Thank God Arkansas State stepped in and brought in literally out of the goodness of their heart, took Henderson in, and they're now a part of the Arkansas State system. That's the only reason Henderson's open right now. And that's a very extreme example, but there's plenty of athletic departments who, if they weren't siloed or if they had a little bit more creativity with their schedule, they could go schedule an FCS game, get a nice check. I've heard low 100,000s to mid 100,000s, depending on who you get. And suddenly you're net positive. It's easier on fundraising. You get better facilities. I'm all for money games, and I'm all for that too. And I'm all about trying. I'm all for trying to make sure that we're getting the best teams in the playoff as well. And so there's all these downstream effects, but there's not really much good that comes out of siloing anymore. And I think it's a practice that really should not happen anymore. Quite frankly, that's just my opinion.
Well, and see, that's why, like, in my opinion, that's why I'm saying I don't know if some schools in the MIAA necessarily want NSU back for that reason, because then they lose another non-conference game. And like I said before, a lot of teams enjoy having that. Like for Kearney alone, they're finally able to play Chadron State again. They haven't been able to play that game in I don't know how many years. Because there wasn't the availability to play that. That's a rivalry game for them. So like you've got things of that nature. And what I like is it seems to me a good portion of MIAA schools are scheduling at least a game against Lone Star schools. Feel like that benefits both people there. So like I think there's more positives to it, and I can see that potentially also being a hurdle for NSU to overcome. Like if the schools do have some say. I feel like it would be tough for like a Pitt or Northwest to say, like, is that really going to benefit us when we've been able to play these, upper tier non-conference games? Or if you're a Kearney, you're able to, continue a rivalry game. I feel like there's too many positives there. So I feel like even if NSU comes back, I don't know if the MIAA adds another football playing member. I think the fact that we've only added Rogers and Fort Smith for sports outside of football, I think is very telling about how teams in the conference feel about having those two non-conference games. Because I feel like if we go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Fort Smith is they don't play football. I know that they have no interest in playing in starting a football program. So I don't know. And then what it was Rogers.
Rogers State is the same way. They don't have football either. So I found it interesting that we only targeted non-football playing schools to because I know Rogers was supposed to replace Lincoln.
And then Claremore. I'm sorry, it's so late.
No, you're good. Yeah, I know you're good. And then we added Fort Smith for other sports. So to me, the fact that we added 2 non-football playing schools, I think it's got to be evident that a lot of the other schools are like, listen, we kind of like this whole 2 non-conference thing. Because to me, I think everybody wins in that. I mean, I feel like you get good out of conference matchups, you get rivalry games, resuming. And then I look at a team like Missouri Southern. I mean, they get to at least play 2 more games against teams they feel like, they would have a chance to beat, right? So, like, I think everybody wins in that scenario. I didn't like the silo when it was a thing because I felt like it's tough in general. Like, you come out the gate and there's just 11 straight conference games. We didn't even have buys at that point. So this was just 11 straight weeks of just tough MIAA football. And I'm like, I don't know if we're getting the best. I know football is obviously in general a game of attrition, but I feel like you're compounding it with 11 straight weeks of MIAA football. The closest thing you have to a bye is if you were playing a Lincoln or were playing a Northeastern State that, or you were playing on a Thursday. I know Daunte said like they would cry tears of joy for a Thursday game because that was the closest thing that they would have to a bye, having those extra days off. So, like, I think there's too many positives, at least from the MIAA standpoint, in my opinion, to go back to being siloed. So I hope it stays this way because I think everybody's happy with it, which is why I'm saying, like, I don't know what becomes of NSU if schools have significant say on if they come back, because from that standpoint alone, I don't know if they would want them back, just given the benefits there. So
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they could do some kind of rotating game or something where maybe not everybody plays each other, but I'm sure there's some way to make it somewhat fair. But yeah, lots of questions on that front. I think it's I've already said it, but I think it's a practice that it doesn't benefit. Silos don't benefit anyone. I'll tell you, silos do benefit Ouachita Baptist and Harding. They do benefit them because it juices their schedule. Because I'll quit harping on this in a second, but do you know what the strength of schedule is for every GAC team? Every GAC team? They all have the same one.
I'm guessing it's pretty high, right?
Well, it's 500. They all have the same strength schedule because they all play each other because it's only based on wins and losses, remember? So 500 is a higher strength of schedule than CSU Pueblo, Central Washington, which is crazy. It's 38 points higher than UTPB, higher than Colorado Mines. I mean, it's like higher than Angelo State, who didn't Angelo play? Did Angelo play Pitt earlier this year? Was that last year? I can't remember. They played somebody really good non-conference.
Yeah, I know they usually play an MIAA team a year. I know. I feel like one year they played 2 MIAA teams. I can't remember what year it was. Like there was 1 year.
So this year they played Fort Hays and Emporia.
There we go. Okay.
But last year, I guess they played them as well last year. I worked for 13 hours straight and then I came on here, so my brain is a little more fried than usual. But I owed you one for having to skip out on 2 on you, so I feel like I owed you a little bit.
Bro, no,
and I'm flying out to Pueblo tomorrow. Shout out to CSU Pueblo, their sports information department, for getting me a media pass. Very, very appreciative. I will be at UTPB Pueblo on Saturday. Flying out tomorrow out of Baltimore at 8 a.m. haven't packed anything yet. So we'll, it's 10 o'clock right now Eastern time. We'll figure it out. We'll throw it in the suitcase. We'll pack the camera. I'm sure VWI is not gonna be busy tomorrow morning because it's not one of the busiest airports in the United States. But it'll be fine. And but shout out to CSU Pueblo Sports Information. Emailed them, had passes and a parking pass in 4 hours. So shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. Is there anything before we close out? Do you want to go over SR4 picks? Maybe we can do that quick. And
yeah, sure. Let me pull up the bracket. I was gonna say CSU Pueblo. One of their coaches used to play for UCO. His name is Thomas Webb Jr. I think he's. I don't know if he's a defensive back coach, but if you he played for us back in 2023. I think he was like a Eastern New Mexico, Western New Mexico transfer. He transferred there for his senior year and won the conference last year. They won it again this year. So he's doing his thing down there. So yeah, if you see Thomas Webb Jr.
Cool.
there, he's a former Cho, but and that's the thing about this. Most SIDs, at least the ones I've associated with, are good dudes, and that's cool that they gave you not only the press pass but a parking pass as well. I mean, that's people don't understand
First
how
class.
important that parking pass can be.
First class. I'm telling you, man.
Half the battle is parking sometimes.
I've had
fantastic.
I've covered one championship before. It's like the UFC, but mostly for Asia. But they've come to Denver twice, and I've flown out there twice to Denver. And they treated me really well. They invited me to cover and do different stuff out there because I'm kind of in the MMA world too. And that's the only organization that I've ever reached out to that has ever done anything remotely as close to Pueblo. So very appreciative of Pueblo on that.
Have you ever considered covering the the Dream Bowl? I think I know there was a YouTuber I saw. I think it's Embrace the Grind. He's kind of like he's not too big. I think he's got like a couple thousand followers, but he applied for a press pass to cover the Dream Bowl this past season. And not only did he get a press pass, but the founder of it also agreed to do like a one-on-one interview with him. So
that's awesome.
I know they're pretty open about that too. Like I don't know if you'll have any Permian Basin guys that might get an invite there, but I feel like if they do, there would be a good chance if you ask for a press pass, probably get one.
Yeah, a lot of it with me is it's this weird balance. A couple of years ago, I used to make a ton of videos, just a ton of D2 content. It would be like funny memes and like edited movie scenes with like logos over, like Buster Scruggs and, like just kind of all kinds of just goofy stuff. But I was working like a regular job in the federal government, 40 hours a week, that kind of thing. And so I had a lot more time. And since I've started my own business now, it's basically all that I do now. So trying to find time to do like the little fun things that I like to do, like going and cover MMA, going to cover D2. It's really kind of because I'm in building mode right now. But that would definitely be something that kind of stuff is something I would really, really like to do in the future. But unfortunately, the busy season for my business and football season coincide with each other. So I got to try and balance those things until I can get things built up to where I can hire people to kind of run it for me. So hopefully in the future, maybe in a couple of years or in a year or a couple of years or something, I could be flying around doing all kinds of coverage and that kind of stuff. So that's the goal anyway. But.
Good. Yeah, I understand your pain. One of my old positions, busy time of year was also, of course, during football season. So, you're working sometimes more than 40 hours a week. Then, on your weekends, right, I've got to, you got to watch the game, obviously. Then I've got to record, I've got to edit, got to upload. Like it takes a toll on you. And it takes a toll on you, and then before you know it, like you're suffering because of it. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely it's definitely a grind that gets harder every year. I think
I noticed you did this live, so you don't got to edit it, which is perfect.
Yeah, I've tinkered more of with that. I'm like, that's a thing that like Daunte and I have kind of tried more now that we've kind of got to flow each other. It's like, if we live stream, it's easier for everybody because like I don't have to upload it when we're done. It's just there on the channel. So like, and then plus you can get engagement sometimes. So I'm like, the more we can stream this, I think is the better. And I think this is where we kind of want to go with it. It just was more of like okay, I never really worked with Daunte before in this setting, so we got to figure out the dynamic and such. And so I think now that we have, I think he's more comfortable with this now. So I think this will probably become a streaming thing because it's a whole lot easier, as to just hop on a stream for a few hours, then close up shop, and then you're done. Instead of having to record, stop, I got to wait for the recording to download. I got to go edit it. Then you got to wait for it to upload. Then you got to upload it to YouTube, which takes time. It's just like it's not that. Right. It's not as easy. Like you feel like you spend half your time waiting for stuff to export, download, and upload.
As someone who has been doing video editing right at 20 years, I've been doing video editing for right at 20 years. I used to make highlight videos and people would pay me. This was before Huddle. And I used to make custom graphics that went with it that looked like old school Madden loading screens on their highlight videos. And I would put like their stats. I'd have like a fake loading screen where it would show a progress bar like it was loading into a game. It was really cool at least for that time. And, Huddle just totally destroyed my business plan as a high schooler at that time. But I've been doing video editing for right at 20 years now, and people have no idea how, even with 20 years of experience, how time consuming it is. You can edit anything in no time. But if you want to edit something that looks good, the amount of time it takes is unbelievable.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, for sure. Because like, even for me, like, even when I just do the highlights, but I just literally am just throwing the clips in there in chronological order of which they're happening. I timed it one time, just doing that, like chopping up the highlights and then just dropping them in order from the point I started to the point I was willing to export. It was like an hour 15, and all I was doing was just cutting, export, cut, export, then just drop, export. That still took an hour 15. And then that's not counting the, 15, 20 minutes it takes for it to export. And that's not counting for the time it takes for it to upload to YouTube. Then for YouTube to process it in HD, then do their little, checks for copyright. Like it's a whole, like you said, like you can edit something in 15 minutes, but the export and uploading process will take you like three or four times that. And like there's been like, that's why this year was tough, because we had a lot of night games, which is good because it's cooler for everybody. It's cool to always play under the lights, right? I know a lot of the players like it, and I get to watch some football during the day, but it's like when I get home, it's probably like 11:30, 12. So I shower, I eat something, it's 12:45. I still gotta pull highlights, set up to record the next morning or record then, edit that, upload that. Like sometimes I'm not going to bed till like 4 a.m. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely right? Like it's
Now I will tell you a trick. The new Max, so I have an M2 Ultra, which is about a year old, but it has all of the VRAM and RAM are integrated. So if you're looking for, when you're in the market for a new machine, the new Max render stuff about, 5 times faster because the VRAM and the regular RAM are integrated. So I mean, it just like, so when you're in the market to look for a new editing thing, because I edited on Windows for years up until about a year and a half ago when I saw kind of some of the performance, and I love Windows, but I will never go back on editing. Once you see this,
Yeah.
now they're on like M4 now, like M4 Apple Silicone, so it makes a huge difference in editing. But we're getting on track here.
but yeah. No, already decided that when this laptop gives out, I'm going to Apple, because it's just better. Plus it's just a whole lot better. And it's like, I'm not a big fan of Final Cut, but for what I do, iMovie's perfectly fine. So I'm good. So it's not that big a deal. But yeah, no, I'll probably have to make this switch. Like I said, I mean, I enjoy Windows, but that exporting time, that rendering time is just brutal sometimes.
It's
especially depending on the quality.
I actually don't use Final Cut. I use DaVinci Resolve, which is how I do a lot of the animations in my videos. And DaVinci Resolve is so much faster on Mac. So
see, I tried to use that. I tried to use
the learning curve is unbelievably steep.
Yeah.
But once you get the learning curve, though, you can do stuff that nobody else, that you can't do on anything else that I've ever found. I used to edit in Adobe Premiere, and my opinion, DaVinci Resolve even blows that out of the water. So, Doug put, what's Josh's podcast called? I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I don't have a podcast. I've had about 35 people tell me I should do one. 3 current players at UTPB have offered to do one with me. I just don't have the time. If I had the time, I would definitely do one without a doubt. But trying to make money right now. So,
well, I mean,
hope that ain't. Doug, you're more than welcome to follow me. It's just Josh Walls on Twitter and Josh Walls on Instagram. I try and get clips of games games that are going on, like big games or big moments or whatever. I haven't been able to get a lot of MIAA stuff this year just because it's kind of walled off with the MIAA network, but lots of Lone Star Conference stuff, GAC stuff, and tons of UTPB stuff. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
If you need MIAA access, I can give you my login, because I have two accounts for it. Because because you can watch it. Two people can watch it at the same time on one account. So I have a personal one that I use to record, like capture the game, and then I watch it separately on a different computer. And then I have a second account that I gave for Daunte to have access to watch the game. So if you ever need any kind of access to it, just let me know and I can give you the login info, because I've had other creators reach out to me and ask about that, and I've let them use it before too. So if you ever want or need MIAA network access, just let me know, and I can give you my login info, and you can access it that way if you want to, pull some clips from it or just watch it.
Yeah, the clips would probably be part of it. Part of it is just a mental bandwidth issue. I can only follow so many conferences at once, and I can follow about 3 pretty closely, and then but I'm also a huge hockey fan, so then I'm watching a lot of hockey, and then I'm watching Division I football, and then I actually have covered a lot of MMA, including it's just like at a certain point it's just so I got to be better. I got to be better about managing my mental bandwidth on that, but such is life. Hopefully, if all of my my personal stuff, my business stuff takes off, then I can just hire someone to do that, and then I can just be a professional sports watcher. That would kind of be nice, wouldn't it?
What you need to do this is just get yourself a nice RV, and then you just hit the road. So you just follow UTPB wherever they go.
Put a Starlink on the top and just show up to random games. Yeah, that would be cool. I would love to do that. That's right up my alley. We've rambled on enough, Jonathan. Let's do some picks. Let's do some picks and we'll sign out.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, so
I can call him out. I've got him right here for you.
Oh.
Let me see here. Well, Jonathan, you still with us, or you frozen?
No, I'm good now. Are you good?
Oh, okay. You're back, I think. You kind of froze for a second. Oh, I think I see you blinking. Can you say something?
Oh. Okay, can you?
No, we're cutting in and out. Oh, no.
Can you hear me?
I heard that.
I think it's good.
I think you're coming back now. Your image is your image is, yeah.
I think. Oh.
If you can hear me, close your oh, you're back. Wait.
Well.
We're having some technical difficulties here. I think Jonathan is going to close out and then come back. When he does come back, we're going to do some brief SR4 picks, kind of go down, give some basic thoughts about that. Jonathan's Wi-Fi sometimes just comes up and down, unfortunately. His Wi-Fi gremlins. We've got to get him a long Ethernet cable. Yeah, it's interesting the way SR4 kind of ended up. We got 1 seed Harding went through GAC. They were GAC champion this year. 2 seed Central Washington. They were the Lone Star Conference champion. They came from behind and won on the very last play. They scored a touchdown in the corner of the end zone and ended up beating Western Oregon to win the Lone Star Conference title. 3 seed CSU Pueblo, who had 9 lives this year. CSU Pueblo won the RMAC. And how many overtime games did they have? It seemed like every yeah, so CSU Pueblo played at in Golden, one of my favorite Division II stadiums ever. I love that. I love that Colorado School of Mines stadium. They won 41-34 in overtime, and then they won the RMAC championship, beating Shadron in second overtime, 30-27. Which got them up to, thing went down. Which got them to 3 seed. Then we have Pitt State. They need no introduction. Pitt State ended up winning. Let me pull their schedule up here. 1 second. All right, thought I had it up. Yep. So Pitt State ended up winning the MIAA. They lost early to Ferris. Of course, they lost to Central Oklahoma. And, this was a game that I had pre-gamed for. I had watched tape on them in the Ferris State game, kind of noticed that Pitt State's defensive front was really not what it had been in previous years. I believe I was the only non-UCO person in the space who actually called that Central Oklahoma was going to beat Pitt State. At large bids, we had Northwest Missouri State. We had Shadron, Western Colorado, and UT Permian Basin, kind of rounding out the at-large bids. And I'm going to go back. I want to make sure. Yeah, we are still up. Okay. We are still live for now. We'll give Jonathan a little bit longer, kind of sort out his Wi-Fi issues and see if he can make his way back in here. Northwest Missouri State had an interesting season. They were one of the at-large teams. Lost early to Minnesota State. Kind of got run over, and it was like, what do we have here? Because we know the MIAA was so tough this year. Ended up kind of running over and then just railed through their schedule. Didn't lose again until they got the conference championship versus Pitt State. And they're going to be playing Harding, which is kind of an interesting matchup. Harding with their offense from 1907 that they like to run. I'm not sure how. I was kind of interested what Jonathan's thoughts were. If you're going to play Harding, you've really, really got to be tough inside a defensive tackle. I was kind of wondering what his thoughts were about the defensive front with Northwest Missouri State. On the same side of the bracket, hey, that's all good, Doug. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for sticking around with us, and get you some sleep, man. I'm going to give it a few more minutes, and then I'm going to be signing out too. So I'm not sure what's up with Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan's back.
There we go. There we go. We had to restart.
I did. I was kind of doing a SR4 playoff breakdown solo there. I just kind of recapped the seeds, and then was going over some of the I made it through most of the seeds, and then did some at-large previews off the top of my head.
Pull this back up. Oh, okay. I am back in. Okay. And we are good. Yeah, I had to do a hard restart. But
yeah, you're good. I joked. I
appreciate you keeping the show going.
I kind of roasted you when you play it back. I told them that we're gonna have to get you a long Ethernet cable at some point instead of Wi-Fi. Oh, you there? I can see you moving. Oh no!
I'm about to end it. I think it's cutting out again.
I can. Hey,
have to end it.
Hey, Jonathan, if you want to cut your camera and just do audio, I can hear you. You cut your camera?
Oh.
At the very well, at least on my screen, it's at the very bottom.
Oh, I see. Hold up. Okay. Let me try this.
Yeah, I can hear you good now. That should help with your bandwidth issue. Oh yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Oh.
Okay.
I could hear you.
Yeah, we'll just roll like this then. We're almost done anyway.
So let's do a preview of Harding, Northwest Missouri State. Harding, they're known for running their offense from 1907. They'll pass the ball 4 or 5 times a game. In order to really beat them and to really be able to kind of control what you do, you got to have interior defensive linemen inside that can really control that A gap. I watched Northwest Missouri State earlier in the year versus Kingsville. I haven't really watched much of them since, other than just like little clips and things. I haven't done any film deep dive. I was kind of wondering what you thought of, if you had any thoughts about like their interior defensive line or anything you kind of shed about their defense.
If I recall for Northwest, I feel like we still ran for. I don't think we got the 200 against them. I think we got somewhere between like 150 and 170. I know it's big physical front. Most of our runs had to go to the outside. You don't get a lot inside there. They I don't see it's tough because we were starting Clayton Creasy and not Jet, so we didn't really have the full pass game. But I do know we still broke. I know we had about a 70-yard touchdown run called back. I know we had a few more 20-yarders. So I mean, you can move the ball against them. They do a good job though of tightening up on third down and within the red zone. So I mean, it should be a good matchup. It should be I'm guessing a low-scoring game because Northwest, I know, also doesn't really have explosive offense. And I know they also, at least against us, it mainly was trying to run the ball and then take their shots in the pass game. So I think it should be a good matchup. I haven't seen Harding play, so I can't really attest to their offensive line caliber. But I know against us, we averaged probably about 200 yards a game rushing this year. I know they were one of the few teams to hold us to under that. So I mean, they're going to be a stiff test for sure.
Harding's offensive line is undersized on purpose because they try and when they run that double wing offense, they're trying to use the fullback to control the A gaps to whichever direction they're going, and then they're going to use smaller and quicker offensive linemen to try and beat you to the perimeter when they're running that triple option. So if you're good enough to stop that initial fullback dive, and you can get to the edge, you can stifle them pretty well. The problem with Harding is that teams that you would normally think, how would I put this? Teams you would normally think would do really well defensively against their offense don't do very well simply because maybe they don't have a good nose tackle or they just keep getting beat to the perimeter. And then there's other teams that you would think like, oh, they're gonna lose 70-0, and they kind of hang around with Harding. So I think I would lean Harding. But if Northwest can come out and control the inside and really stop that fullback dive, I think they've got a really good shot at taking out Harding first round. So I know that they have good they're hard-nosed, especially on the second level from what little I remember, and they move to the ball well. So I don't know that they'll get beat outside. It's going to be, Harding routinely has their fullback run for like 200 yards. Like, this is not a normal type of offense. So if they can stop that, I think that they'll have a shot of beating Harding. But it's going to be a tall order if you haven't seen that kind of offense and haven't really played against it. So,
well, now is this Harding team is this Harding team as good as last year's Harding team? Because I just remember they beat the okay because I remember they beat the brakes off Pitt, and I was surprised because Pitt, whenever we played them, were one of the few teams to really stifle us at the line because we really could not run the football in that game, and that was probably the worst the run offenses looked really in the past 2 seasons. So I remember they beat them something like 49-3.
The thing with that offense is that if you can't stop fullback dive, you're going to have a really bad time. And how would I explain it? Harding, I don't think is as good as they were last year. I don't think their defensive front is as good. I don't feel like their defensive pursuit is as good. And I don't think that their offense is as good as it was last year either. But when I'm saying this, it's at the margins. They're still a damn good football team, and they're still capable of beating anybody in this region. So when I'm saying that they're not as good, maybe they're like 5% worse. It's not like, there's going to be some huge change, if that makes sense.
Right. I'm not tough because I honestly feel like Pitt's front last year was better than the Northwest front this year, just based on the fact with the same line we had last year, same scheme. We had significantly better run game against Northwest than we did against Pitt last year. And I know Pitt's down a few pegs this year, as we clearly saw right up front. But I think that Pitt D-line last year might be a little bit better than this Northwest. But again, it's Northwest, so they're gonna be stingy. They're gonna be well coached. I just don't know, because the big thing when you play the option, right, is you just get worn down, and their offense does not wow you. They have a good receiver. They have a Kansas State transfer, like 6'2", 6'3", gave us a ton of trouble. But Chris Roonke's not great to me. That freshman they have, Zachariah Owens, he was like MIAA freshman of the year. To me, he's the better option because he can run. Roonke, I feel like you're a senior, you've earned this type of thing. Again, he's not a scrub, but to me, Owens brings more than what Roonke does, and I always felt like you can force Northwest to pass, you can beat them. So I still like Harding's chances in that football game, to be honest. Like Northwest is they're a good team, but I think Harding probably wins that.
Be interesting. We'll see. Same side of the bracket. Automatic qualifier, number 4 seed, Pitt State versus Chadron, the Chadron Eagles. This one's tough for me because when I filmed Pitt State earlier in the year, it was really obvious to me that their defensive front was not what it had been in previous years. And I saw you guys play them. It played out. I didn't call a missed field goal at the end for you guys to win, but I knew that in the trenches they were going to have problems. And as the season has gone on, I have not done another in-depth film study on them, but I have watched, a drive here, like a full drive here and there. Their defensive front looks better than it did early in the season. I don't know why that is. Usually that's not how that works. Usually people get injured and it gets worse. They look better on the defensive front. The thing that worries me about Chadron is that they have just they went through their whole schedule. They played in some close-ish games with Black Hills, a close game with Mines, but they went through a stretch of their schedule: Adams State, New Mexico Highlands, Fort Lewis, South Dakota Mines in the middle of their schedule. And then they played Western Colorado and Pueblo. And then the very next game after playing Western Colorado and Pueblo, they play Pitt State. It's probably a beat-up football team, if I had to guess. So I don't. I think I'm going to take Pitt State just by attrition. Chadron just didn't really get a true. They played in some close games, but they didn't get a true hard test till the very end of the season. And then it's all at once, and then you've got to go to Pitt and play them. I don't see them overcoming that. I would take Pitt probably. I'll take Pitt by a touchdown. I think that's fair.
I think Pitt's tough because Pitt, I give them credit after they were 0-2 and people picked for Kansas thought the sky was falling. They won 9 straight, and what was impressive to me on a neutral field, the way they dominated Northwest, they were up in the game like 24-7. So they have momentum, and Pitt State that's a place to play. You ask anybody that's played down on Daunte, talked about it every place. That's a very tough place to play, and I'm not sure how bad Chadron beat Kearney this year, if they beat Kearney, but Kearney's similar in the fact that it's a big physical team. They're obviously less talented than Pitt, but it's kind of a similar mode. So if Kearney was able to give Chadron a scare, then I don't like their odds against Pitt because to me, Pitt's at least.
Second game of the year, Chadron lost to Kearney 21-41. Second game of the year. That's one of their losses.
Oh, Why? Oh, I forgot. I looked at the score, but it's been so long. Oh, yeah. I can't see them beating Pitt. Then I don't. I think Pitt has too much momentum going for them now. Plus, it's really. I mean, it's really hard to win in Pittsburgh, Kansas. So, yeah, I think I take Pitt State in that one.
What do you think on margin? I think a touchdown. I think Shadron can kind of spread them a little bit and kind of do some stuff, but I don't think that I think it's a war of attrition at that game, and I don't think they're going to be at the end. What do you think on margin?
I'll go. I don't know. I'll be brave and go 10.
10. Okay, that makes sense. We'll flip down to the other side of the bracket in SR4. We'll start with the 2 seed. Central Washington, automatic qualifier conference champion out of the Lone Star, 10-1, versus Western Colorado. This game is not at altitude, by the way. What I would say about Central Washington, big offensive line, physical offensive line, the best offensive line that I think UTPB saw this year. They are very good between the tackles, and they have a quarterback who is one of the fastest quarterbacks I've seen at the Division II level once he gets in the open field. And he's very, very shifty. Kennedy McGill is his name. And I don't know if he won Offensive Player of the Year. I'm assuming he did, and I haven't checked socials today because all that Lone Star stuff got announced. I'm assuming he got Offensive Player of the Year. They are a really dangerous football team, and they play good defense. If they have one weakness, it's over the top. If you get an officiating crew that doesn't call a lot of handsiness, you're going to have a really tough time against Central Washington. Central Washington went up and played. Where's my Central Washington schedule? In the second game of the year, they played number 10 FCS Montana, and they were tied deep into the third quarter with number 10 FCS Montana. This is not a team to be playing around with. If you can, UTPB was actually ahead of Central Washington deep into the fourth quarter. Central Washington drives the field and scores. We throw a desperation pick 6, and so the score doesn't really reflect how the game was. We kind of had them on the ropes the whole game and just kind of let it slip away. And that's a team that you cannot do that to because they just literally won the Lone Star Conference on the last play of the game on a touchdown pass. So Western Colorado, veteran quarterback. I think he's now a 3 or 4 year starter. Not being at altitude. I'm going to take Central Washington, especially since the game's not at altitude. Western Colorado, if they can spread it out, keep it close. Veteran quarterback. I don't think Central Washington will run away with it. But I'll take Central Washington by, let's say 4. I'll take Central Washington by 4.
Okay. I can't say I know much about either of those two, to be honest. But since Central Washington beats you all, and I know how good of a team you all are, that alone holds a lot of weight to me. And you mentioned their quarterback. If he's anything like the last explosive quarterback that was in the MIAA, TJ Edwards, who some called the D2 Lamar, and so if he
good player,
so if he can pass better than TJ Edwards and has TJ Edwards running ability, then I would like their odds because to me, if you go up there in what are they in Billings, if you can go up there in Montana because that's a tough place to play at the FCS level, if you can go up there and be in that game for 3-4 quarters, that's very telling. That's just very telling. And so I'll go with Central Washington. As far as the point spread, I don't know. I think you had 4.
This is what I'll say and why I went 4 and not higher. Because the one thing that Western Colorado's got a really good defensive front, and they will. They might have the best defensive front since Montana that Central Washington has seen, so they might be able to curtail a lot of this stuff. But Western Colorado can go deep, and that's kind of the one Achilles heel that Central Washington has. So I think because of that, they'll keep it close. So I think that it's one of those games. It's kind of a really tough matchup for Central Washington, but it's at home, offensive line, gifted quarterback, great defense. That's But anyway, trying to help you out with your point spread there.
Okay. Let me think. Well, I'll go 3.
3. Okay. And then the final game in SR4. This is my favorite game. I will be there in Pueblo. It is number 3 CSU Pueblo. They were the automatic qualifier because they were the RMAC champion. 10-1 CSU Pueblo versus UT Permian Basin, 9-2 out of the Lone Star. This is a rematch of last year. CSU Pueblo did beat UTPB last year at their place, so this will be a rematch of that. Very different UTPB team, different quarterback, completely different offensive line, completely different defensive line, much improved secondary for UTPB. Excuse me. These teams are very similar to each other. Can go vertical, screen game, fast sideline to sideline. I mean, of all of the teams that are in this playoff, these two teams are the most similar to each other, and they're playing each other. They're just same style, same. It's kind of like the Spider-Man meme in my mind, at least. Where they're just pointing at each other. This one, the one thing that about with UTPB that I think is that no other team in SR4 has, I think UTPB has the best linebacker in this SR4 playoff, in Tristan Exline. If you remember, Jonathan, I showed a clip where he anticipated that wheel route on that scramble and got that interception along the sideline when we played you guys, where he ran the route for the receiver. He just got Defensive Player of the Year in the Lone Star. I think he's the best linebacker. I'm sure you guys have a guy over there that's a pretty dang good linebacker too, but I feel like we've got the best linebacker in Division II right now. And I feel like I think we probably have the best all-around secondary in this playoff. I think CSU Pueblo probably has at least the top wide receiver in this bracket. I'm just kind of looking over the teams here, and their second and third options are just as amazing. Reggie Retzlaff somehow magically got to play a 5th year of college football that no one else has been able to do at D2. No one's been able to explain how that happened, because we had this guy named Jeremiah Cooley who was a NFL prospect we would have loved to have brought back. But anyway, I'm a UTPB guy. I am going to take UTPB. And I do believe genuinely that we could beat Pueblo in Pueblo, excuse me. I think the difference is going to be our secondary. If our secondary shows up, I think that we can control the game. And I'm going to take UTPB. I'm going to take UTPB by. I'm kind of feeling like a 31-27. So I'll go UTPB by 4.
Okay. I was going to go by 3, but okay. Well, but I loosely follow both because obviously I follow Thomas Webb Jr. on social media, so he's a coach, so he posts about it.
Yeah.
And then I still follow you all because Coach McCullough follows me and all that stuff. So, and having played you all, yeah, I mean that defense is pretty solid. I mean, that granted our pass game was not the best really until the Washburn game. I know during that bye week, Coach Doral moved some people around and we got better there. But just watching that tape, I mean, that was some of the best coverage though I've seen people put on us, especially against Ashton Schumann. Now should be getting some good looks out there in the portal, and I mean, I know we were able to run, but like we've been able to run on everybody this season. So like I wouldn't take a whole lot of stock in that. But I because to me it's always hard to beat a team twice, and I feel like you'd probably be motivated to get one back from last year as well.
Yeah.
So usually when you're on the road, you usually ideally you'd like to say you play looser because you're the road team in this scenario, but yeah, I don't know. I really like you all's defense, and I really like who was that receiver that had that like deep touchdown against us?
Traylon Sewell.
Yes,
Traylon Sewell.
Yes,
Yeah, he's amazing. And he missed the Angelo game and the Central Washington game, and he missed those 2 games, and he is a rocket out of the slot. He's a rocket.
Yeah, that by far was the best slot we saw all season. Like, there was nobody close to that. There was nobody close to that.
Yeah, I mean he's amazing. From what I've heard, he is healthy. We're really healthy right now too. If you look at our schedule, no offense to any of the Lone Star Conference teams, but the meat of our schedule was early and mid, and then we kind of played teams that were, towards the bottom of the Lone Star. And I think we're pretty healthy right now. I'm not sure Pueblo is after having to play. I could be wrong. Maybe they're totally healthy, but I mean, they played Western Colorado School of Mines in overtime, Chadron in double overtime, and now they're playing us. That's how they close their season. So that's tough. And so
it's tough. I mean, I see that. I mean, I just look at what was it us last year? I think before the playoffs, when we had that overtime against Western, we had the game against Washburn, came down to the wire. We blew out Emporia, which I'm not too surprised. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that does one of 2 things for you. You either have a ton of momentum and belief, and you keep that rolling, or after that many tough games, regardless if they say they're healthy, like there's got to be some bumps and bruises, and that's got to take a lot out of you, and that has to factor in too. I still feel like, aside from various other factors against Ferris last year, I think that's what got us. Like we literally just looked worn down, I would say, midway through the second quarter of that football game, because there's only so much high-level ball you can play back to back to back before it just catches up with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, you all are a physical football team, so that's not going to be easy. So, I mean, I don't know what their like depth is or all that, but if you've gone through that much of a ringer, and then you have another physical team coming to town with very good receiver that's a deep threat, very good linebacker, very good defense, I mean, it's gonna be tough. But I'll go Permian Basin by 3. I think you all get your revenge. I feel like it's hard to beat a team twice. I've always felt that, and I know there's extra motivation for them beating you all at home last year, so there's going to be some extra motivation there. But yeah, but listen, if CSU Pueblo has nothing to tank, kudos to them. But
yeah,
that's a brutal stretch, though. I mean,
that's a murderer's row. It is really. And Mines was not playing that great early in the year, and they turned it on at the end. Like they started playing, I watched just the eye test, my eye test. They started playing a lot better, and so yeah, it's brutal. And I'll be there in Pueblo on Saturday, and hoping for a W for us. Hopefully, we can keep on going in the playoff, and just hoping for the best on that. But I think it's probably a good spot to close it up. Jonathan, did you have anything? I mean, it's your show, but your camera's not working, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you all. There's a lot of support for UTPB down there in Edmond. I know. After that game, I know a lot of UCO fans are pulling for you all, so I think you'll have a good contingent of UCO fans that are pulling for you all. Now, is some of it self-serving, because obviously, right, it would help like last year. Okay, well, we lost the fans, they won the whole thing, so can't really blame us. So, okay, yeah, there's part of that too. But I think that there's just genuinely a lot of people that I think that that didn't really know, I feel like, about UTPB really, that saw it and was like, all right, no, this is a good, well-coached football team. And so you all earned a lot of respect down there in Edmond. So I'll be pulling for you all. I know a lot of people that I know with UCO ties will be pulling for you all in this playoff. So, especially if ever gets to the point where you play either Pitt or Northwest to, do us a solid, because we don't like either team down there in Edmond, especially Pitt. So listen, you can knock one of them off, although I don't think Northwest gets past Harding. But, if Pitt somehow
Pitt's going to really struggle versus Harding, I think. I don't think that they're going to get blown out, but their defensive front's really going to struggle versus Harding.
Yeah, I can't see it. I just go back because you were right. Like at first, I was like, Pitt State, it can't be as bad as you said it was. But when I saw on that 50-yard line, I was like, you're telling me that's Pitt State this year? Like that is, I mean, I was genuinely surprised it was that bad. Like I was like, this cannot be the same Pitt State team though.
The kids they're playing are really good. They're just small. And there was I don't remember his name, but there was a couple. Well, there was like two of them on the defensive line. I looked up their roster and it said they were like 310, and I'm telling you, they couldn't be more than 245.
Yeah,
there's no way.
No, that was not, because that was the first time I looked and I said, this is the first time in my 8 years covering UCO where we're the bigger team on both sides of the ball in the trenches. And I tell you, I never thought I would see that day. I was genuinely in shock. And I think if you watch the football game, I know we could probably have 40 sacks this year. We just don't tackle. But like we were getting back there consistently, and we were able to run the ball. And I'm like, I have never seen this against a Pitt State team. Like, I've never seen a Pitt State team that we've dominated to that degree on both sides of the ball for 4 quarters. Like I was genuinely shocked. So yeah, I don't give them much chance against Harding unless Harding just has turnovers or I don't know. Pitt State just plays the best game of their lives, but that's not your typical Pitt State team there.
If Pitt gets out early on them and can kind of turn it into a shootout and get up by 2 touchdowns, they can beat Harding. But if they don't do that, they're gonna have a tough time, because if you let Harding control the game, it doesn't matter how good your defense is, you're not going to win that game. So if they can get if they can get like 14-0 and then kind of like put out like 50 points on offense, they could smoke Harding. It's just you've got to get out in front of that offense somehow, whether it's them fumbling the ball or you getting a pick off of one of their 5 passes in the game or penalties or whatever. If you can get up on them early, you got a chance of really shutting them down. But but you've also got to really control that fullback dive, and it's Pitt's Harding. I would say that the worst matchup in this entire bracket for Pitt State is Harding, and they're on the same side.
100%.
And I feel like just my personal opinion, I think the worst matchups for Harding are UTPB and Central Washington, just because they have it's two teams that have two noses that can play solid over the football. Now, you can run with UTPB, obviously, we give up more run and play more pass, but I feel like that our two teams have they're really good inside, and we would not play Harding the same way we would play UCO defensively. We try to we consciously try to lull you into passing on 3rd and 7. It's kind of like, we play soft. We're not going to do any of that against Harding. And I feel like our interior defensive tackle, because we play a 3-man front most of the time, and we're not going to be doing that. And I feel like our nose, we have two guys that can play nose really, really well. The guy that played against you guys at nose was actually our backup, and he had like 9 tackles or something like that. And then Central Washington's defensive tackles are really, really good as well. So we're not going to, unfortunately, be able to see that until whoever comes out of each side of the bracket, but.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like Pitt's chances. I mean, whenever we play them, right, we're starting a redshirt freshman. And again, if you're Pitt, I feel like at that point, our pass game was terrible. You want us to pass the ball. And they really, I mean, they did it a couple of times, and we were able to hit some passes. But, I mean, they really didn't stop the run. Like, we were running inside with Will Mason. They didn't do a good job on read options. But we were killing them on read options. Like, they went for it every time. And, I mean, there was just no one there. I mean, it just really shocked me how porous their run defense was. So, yeah, I don't have much faith in Pitt State getting past Harding. But if by some miracle that they end up doing that and you all end up facing them, I think you would you'd win over a lot more people in the city of Edmond if you would not help Pitt State.
Well, if we can come out of the bottom of the bracket and then come out of the top of the bracket, maybe we can convince Coach Mack to send you guys some UTPB gear to wear around the city and cheer us on. So,
and listen, I will wear that proudly. I support any team. If you can beat Pitt State, you've got a fan of me, because that's just that is
I got to close the show. I got to get up in a few hours, and my dog is telling me he's got to go out. So, I was just going to say, always a pleasure, and I'm glad I could finally link up with you on here. And let's do it again sometime, man.
Sure. I'm wishing you safe travels to and from, and tell Coach Mack that I'm pulling for him. A lot of UCO people are pulling for him, so go up there and get the win.
I appreciate it, man. And UCO, for the UCO fans that are listening on here, appreciate you guys having me. You guys have always been really cool on social media. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
See you, man.